Good morning, everybody. Wow, you guys are busy already this morning. I see Kiki gifted 10 memberships. Hell yes. Replay gifted 5. Whoa, we got a lot of stuff coming up on members. We have the Super Bowl. We have our own Super Bowl show. You guys are going to really like this. We have Valentine's. We have a Valentine's show coming up. We got some really cool prizes for both. That's going to be really exciting. I'm super excited. Thank you very much. Hello, Lala. Hey, Blue Eyes. I saw somebody in here said they've been waiting since yesterday from Dayton, Ohio. This case is one that is, I just don't even freaking know what to say. Odin's Goddess. I had to put your comment up because that is a super cool YouTube name. Have you read that book, American Gods? Or watched the show on Stars? Odin is freaking awesome. Jules said, congratulations to the new members. Congratulations. It's like an American Express card. You're in the club. Don't leave home without it. So I don't think we were expecting that yesterday with that arraignment, man. That was like opening or closing arguments with a trial. I wasn't expecting that. I figured it would be, I figured they would come in and give her hospital status. Talk about bail. Don't worry about bail right now because she's in the hospital. She's paraplegic now. Right? That's paraplegic, waist down. That's what they said. And then they would just set another date. My anxiety was up in my ears just trying to get the stream. Where is it? Is it going to be on here? Oh my God. Then they started talking. Let me tell you what, the comments after the show yesterday were on fire, man. Lit AF. It was like Thunderdome in there. You guys were throwing down. Woo! Here's a secret fun fact. I have no comment moderators on the channel. So when people that we don't really know decide to come in and cause havoc, it's old Brooks up here that wakes up to people calling each other twats and stuff. Woo! It was something else. Damn. That's okay. I got it cleaned up real fast. We're not in any trouble. Actually enjoyed some of the comments. I enjoyed them all. Now, there was one comment I have to address. I'm going to address a bunch of comments. Head twat up here. That's me. I have to address this one. Someone said, I think it's Ruin. Ruin said, do you write your own comments? No. No. No effing way. Now, that's the reason when I read the comments, I say, head twat up here says, this came actually from the Facebook group, or this is from the last show, or this is from the community tab. You know what I'm saying? Lisa, exactly. Who says twat anymore? I didn't even realize we're bringing it back. Isn't that like an 80s word? Or like, didn't that kind of go out in the mid 90s? We're bringing twat back. Yeah. My God. Nothing wrong with that, right? It's a pretty family-friendly word. The fuck? I was like, okay, that's a good one. But no, I don't write my own comments. As you know, I tell everybody, if I showcase your comment, send me an email and you'll know why. And a lot of you know why. Now, from the last show, Tigress live in chat, and then afterwards, she had a lot to say. Now, her and Jinbug are definitely on the same page. They both were like, well, I'm going to sit back and see how this plays out. Now, the show on Sunday, Head Twat here said, look, we don't know what the hell's going to come out. We haven't even heard what they're going to say. But what her defense is saying is, this is textbook, over-medicated, postpartum depression. We even heard rumors that she couldn't get into a A mental health facility? Well, she was in a mental health facility. She was in a mental health facility. Let's not forget that she's getting care in Beantown, okay? She's not going to the Indian Hospital in Claremore, Oklahoma. She had access to some of the best doctors in the country. I think we're all shaking our heads going, what the hell happened? Jay Berry said, could it be both? Could it be both? Could it be planned? A psychotic break? I mean, could it be the whole gamut? I don't know. You have a lot of changes in medications and stuff like that. Let's do a poll. Where are we right now? It's been split right down the middle, since we did the first show. I agree with Jackie. Jackie said, I'm going to need a mental health facility after this. Me too. We'll buckle up because on this channel, we follow everything to the very end. We do. Some people are like, how come you quit talking about this case or that case? And I'm like, oh no, it's still on the burner. It's still on the burner. Don't worry. When something happens, we're going to be right back on it. Slim said, yes, poll time. So where are we? Is she criminally responsible or not? Because yesterday the state came out swinging. I wasn't expecting that. That was like a little mini trial. Massachusetts doesn't mess around. When we were talking about the Anna Walsh case, I couldn't believe that either. You think they're just going to talk about bail? Jules says yes. Rowena, yes. Slim, yes. Had a lot of people saying no. They don't think she is. They're thinking she was misdiagnosed. There's going to be a lot of hearings coming up, and it looks like there's no gag order, so we're going to get to hear it all. Damn. Damn. Not that I want a gag order. Those things really upset me. Rowena said, I flipped after watching it 5 times. I know. I had to watch it several times last night and say, am I hearing this correctly? Am I hearing this correctly? Dina says, I'm still torn. I'm telling you. Christina said, crazy and responsible. Yeah, you can be both. Like we said on the show on Sunday morning, the jails are full of adults that were once abused children. You don't get a pass. The jails are full of mental illness. You don't get a pass. You get a pass when you are deemed because of your mental illness. And I don't mean a pass that anything's okay. Not like that at all. That you because of your mental state, you cannot be held criminally responsible. That's up for the courts to decide, but we're going to help them out because we're going to discuss it. So is she criminally responsible? Did she know what she was doing? This came up over and over and over yesterday, and I agree. What's the reason? We're not hearing anything about a boyfriend. What is it? What is the reason? I know the first show I did for Lindsay and the second, the comments people were saying, hey, twat, you're a real hypocrite because, you want the death penalty for Leilani Simon, but you're giving this woman a pass. And I said, I want Leilani hook, line, and sinker because she beat him with an object. She put him in a dumpster and she made up several lies to cover up what she did. I said, this seems different. Now we have more information now, don't we? According to the state, like I said, they came out swinging. They are armed for bear. Pretty slippery of them, too, that they have a woman prosecuting attorney up there, too. Women, we're harder on each other, right? It wasn't going to fly having a dude up there talking about it anyway. Not a case like this. At all. Now, I've got the link pinned. Don't be shy. Come up. Let's talk about this. I hate to do it, but we're going to go through the arraignment again. And this time we're going to slow it down. let's do the comments. And you know what? Before I get to the comments, I just have to say this because I think we can all agree on this for sure. Her husband. Oh my God. Imagine being him. I couldn't imagine being him. No way. I wouldn't blame the dude. I meant what I say yesterday. I wouldn't blame him at all if he was like, "Oh, she's paralyzed from the waist down. Let me in. Let me in the room because she's about to be paralyzed from the neck down." I couldn't imagine. When I heard about him having to take those bands off of his babies, saying, "Just breathe, please just breathe," saying to her, "What have you done?" Oh my God. All right, let's do the comments. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to get to all of it. Pages of Makeup said, here's the thing. She mapped out the time it would take for her husband to run these errands. She planned this. Why didn't she reach out to her husband if she didn't want to kill them? Okay, for real. According to the state, she planned this. She planned it. Here's the map from Duxbury to Plymouth. This is just a Google map. I didn't draw this or anything. By the way, Burnsy, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you, love. Thank you. It says on here, now we were told it took 25 minutes. He was there and back. He ran out to get the food, came right back home. Now we're hearing that there was also a stop at CVS to get Miralax. Also, she wanted takeout from 3V in Plymouth. That's where they said she went. All right, so Duxbury to Plymouth is 16 minutes. Okay, so 16 minutes. Now that's 16 minutes one way. Then let's just say he turned right around and 16 minutes straight back. We know it didn't happen that way because he also had to stop at CVS and he also had to get the food. I'm going to say it's roughly an hour. Mama She 13, thank you for the super sticker, said, I felt so sorry for her prior to the hearing. Now I'm just blown away. Yeah. Yeah. You're not the only one. There's people that want their GoFundMe money back. I say let Patrick have it. All right, so she did. According to Apple Maps, she planned this. This is according to the state of Massachusetts. She wanted him to go further away. She needed time to do this. My question is, why didn't she have him take the kids with him? If she wanted to harm herself, which I do not agree with, and nobody better do that, take the kids with you. I want some time to myself. Why take the babies with you? Why? Why? So it wasn't 25 minutes. It wasn't just straight down the street and back. He went to Plymouth, Massachusetts and back. So we learned that yesterday. Bonnie said, I really don't know how to feel about this. My son is adopted because of infertility issues on my part. I know one of the hormone drugs they put me on made me extremely paranoid. My wonderful doctor was aware, and a nurse called me once a week to check on me. By the end of the first month, I went from extremely paranoid to moderate anxiety. By the end of the second month, I was fine. I know how it feels to not have control of your emotions. But killing your kids, I can't make that leap. Annie said, my only thing is, wouldn't you think if she planned this out, she would have acted crazy and out of it, faking it instead of being normal? That's a good point. Wouldn't you just act crazy out of your mind? I mean, I guess he wouldn't have left her alone then to do what she wanted to do. Pammy says, misdiagnosed. I know from experience. I was told for months to be patient with the medication. Sounds like she wanted to be dead before he got home, and the knife didn't work as fast as she hoped. So you're telling me she also planned to be paraplegic? Her asking about an attorney is because she woke up and saw armed guards around her. Could be. Could be. 2 Boston moms said, "Hey, Brooks, so in my opinion, she obviously had some issues going on with her mentally." Yep, that goes without saying. She had reached out for help a few times. The thing that is getting me is that she sent her hubby out for a reason. She did. She sent him out for a reason, and she sent him further away than she normally does. She would have had to start the unthinkable just after he had left, which leads me to believe she knew what she was doing. In a psychotic state, psychosis state, it wouldn't matter if he was there or not. And I feel she would have likely tried to hurt him as well if she was truly in a psychotic state. This is a tough one, and we definitely need more info on this. Definitely, and more's going to be coming out. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm thinking about what 2 Boston moms is saying. If she snapped and she was truly in a psychotic state, it wouldn't matter who's around, right? That's a total break with reality, a psychotic state. So would she have had the wherewithal to send him away to go get food and make sure it's further away than that she has time? Think about that. If she's truly in a psychotic state, why would it matter if he's around or not? She would have killed him too, right? Hey guys, I see a couple of you backstage. I'm going to go through these comments and I'll start bringing you up. I promise I'm not ignoring you. So that comment really stood out to me. If she's in a psychotic state, what does it matter who's around? She would have killed him too. Tamara says snap isn't the right word for what happened. No, I don't know. I don't know. This is a lot. This is a heavy, heavy, heavy case. Steph Lynn, thank you for the super sticker. Steph Lynn said, and the lawyer said she wanted to have more kids. She did. She wanted to have more. Kat said, I was thinking how unusual it is for someone to survive a murder / unalive case, and if there's a precedent for prosecution anywhere on the books. I'm looking. Evidently, her injuries are life-limiting, and she will have to live with that for the rest of her life. But in terms of facing punishment for her crimes, I have a feeling she will attempt to finalize it, if you know what I mean, before she is forced to accept any responsibility. If she is left alone at any point, that's my fear. She will attempt to finish what she started, and that will lead to no justice at all. And we want justice for the kids. Her attorney said over and over, and I guess the judge agreed with him, that she is still not mentally where she needs to be. Christina said, as you said, the prisons are full of mentally ill people. She will be one of them. Dina said, how can she finalize if she's paraplegic? She can move her arms. She's paralyzed from the waist down, is what they said yesterday. Lori Meyer said, I think the fact that she even went to the internet for advice shows desperation. Yeah, guys, the internet is not for medical or legal issues. When it comes to things like that, call the professionals. Don't do it. I think the docs did her wrong with that diagnosis, and she should never have been allowed to leave the hospital, or at least not have been allowed to be alone with her kids or herself. The entire situation is horrific. Then she said, trigger warning, what the hell with the exercise band? For real. What the hell? Patrick comes home. sees her out on the lawn. He says, "What did you do? What the hell's going on here?" She tells him the kids are in the basement. He has to cut bands off the babies' necks. They even explained in the arraignment how long she had to hang on. How many minutes? So they said 4 or 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes. So she had time to change her mind. But if she's in a psychotic state, she wouldn't, right? But she stopped to answer his call. She answered Patrick's call as she continued to KILL the kids. Well, look who came into chat. Jay Woody's in the house. Hey, Jay Woody. Jamie Lunas is in here. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jamie has to say. Hey, sis, I see you backstage. You can turn your camera off, hun. You don't have to be on camera to come up here. Let's see what sis has to say. Hey, sis, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the panel.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning. What are you making of all this? This is probably the heaviest case we've ever covered on this channel.
Yeah, and I think that it hits women differently, and I'm not trying to sound that way, but I mean, we have sisters, friends, and our own moms have dealt with something like this where it's like you feel the baby blues after pregnancy, and it's some people don't have a village to help them, and I'm not making an excuse for her. I mean, the death of children is horrible, but people comparing their postpartum depression to hers, I just can't get behind it because everybody has a different diagnosis. People have anxiety for different reasons. I mean, this whole case is just like you go back and forth because it's like you feel for her, but then you're like, the kids are dead. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's so hard.
what you said is really, really important. Every woman has a different childbirth story. You can't compare yours to someone else's. Now,
Yeah.
actually, anything medical. Anything medical. Now, if you broke your toe, you can be like, yeah, man, that sucks. I broke my toe a few months ago. God, that's going to hurt a while. Something like that. But when we're talking about things like this, one can't be compared to another. Several people were like, "Oh, you got to check out such and such. They shared their postpartum story, blah blah blah. So this doesn't add up." No two stories are the same, and we have to remember they said in court yesterday she didn't have a postpartum diagnosis. She
Exactly.
was being treated for general anxiety disorder.
Yeah, and then when you look at that, it's like, was she misdiagnosed? But also, I think people have this perception that psychosis is just like you're walking around screaming like you're schizophrenic and like you're seeing things and I work in the medical field. So I had this patient where she would call the doctor's office every day and say that there's people in her apartment trying to get her. And she would call us to have us call the police. Like, I don't think the psychosis, if she was in a psychosis, I don't think people are grasping that you're not constantly just in this, state of freaking out and, snapping on people. Like, you can do a lot when you're depressed. People live every single day with schizophrenia, paranoia, anxiety, depression. I mean, bipolar, it goes on and on and on. I mean, people live normal lives. So it's, to me, it seems like maybe she wasn't forthcoming with her doctors as much as she should have been, maybe, or maybe she was misdiagnosed. Maybe all these medications just, I mean, she had a detox off of all of them. I mean, she was on so many. So how do you just keep prescribing a different pill over and over and over again when the other pills haven't even left your body? It's a lot to take in. It really is.
Big time. And she did. Hang on 1 second. I have to get out and come back in. My chat froze, so I can't see what anyone's saying. I'll be right back. Don't leave.
Okay.
Okay. Is it back? Let me see. Because I kept thinking Birdie was sending the same thing over and over. And I'm like, Birdie wouldn't do that. And then I realized it froze. Mama She said, "Oh my God, I literally broke my toe yesterday." Thank you, Mama She. That hurts like hell. But no, and it's a common thing for people to say, "Oh, well, just tell your doctor this or do this." And they're well-meaning, don't get me wrong. I mean, but with the internet, everybody's a doctor, everybody's a lawyer, everybody's an expert. I don't mean in
Mhm.
here, because in here everybody's really super cool. But it's really hard. And what really gets me is one of the common rumors was that her insurance wouldn't approve a hospital stay, an inpatient hospital stay. Well,
Yep.
they did. She was there from January 1st to January 5th. They sent her home with no specific orders.
Exactly, but also you have to remember that even when you're admitted into a hospital, your insurance will only cover a certain amount of days. So that's why some women, they give birth and then in 2 days or 1 day they're out of there because their insurance can only cover so much of it. I mean, there's so many dynamics to this case where we have to wait until everything is out because I mean, insurance companies, they're stingy. They're not fair across the board. I mean,
No,
they'll kick you out of the hospital. They don't care. I mean, go home. I'm not covering it. And then you don't want to pay out of pocket, so you're going to go home. No one wins in this situation, you know? It's horrible.
no, it is horrible. It is horrible. And I want to know the reason. What is
Yeah,
the
what's the motive?
We know the reason that she sent him down to Plymouth to go to CVS and get food. All right, I'm going to have to look at chat on my phone. It froze again and I can't keep getting it. So if I miss a comment, guys, I'm sorry. You'll have to bear with me. I don't know what the hell's going on. So we know the reason. I'm going to put the mat back up. We know the reason that she sent him 20 minutes down the road and sent him on 2 errands to get food and to get to CVS. So he was probably roughly gone, let's say with traffic and everything, probably hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes. So it wasn't just 25 minutes. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
So we know the reason that she sent him so far away. But what's the reason?
Yeah,
Why
like the
want to not be on this planet and her kids to not be on this planet? Some people said, no, 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 no. She didn't even cut herself enough to really do any damage. And her jumping out of the window, she isn't, she's a athletic lady, you know,
mhm.
she was not trying to um go off the planet. I don't know. I mean, that to me that seems pretty extreme.
Yeah, and, was she when the husband left when Patrick left, was the well, she got Miralax for one of the babies, and we know that when children are constipated, it's painful for them. So, was she just overwhelmed with the kids crying? Were they throwing tantrums? Did she feel alone? Like, but when people say she looked up this restaurant, I mean, I look up restaurants all the time, and I mean, where I live, my town, there's in Washington State, there's a town with the same name. So it's like
Mhm.
sometimes I pull up a restaurant and it pulls up something in Washington State and I'm like, "Oh no, I did not want that." You know? So like that for me that's not like the a big I don't know. Like I said, it's so hard. It's like it seems fishy, but then I'm like, I pull up restaurants all the time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the question is if he's going to pick up the food and everything, why did she have to map out where he was going?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, what would it matter? She's not having to go. So,
And
I
yeah.
think that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it. And then I go back to what Two Boston Moms says. If she's in a psychotic state, it doesn't matter who's there. She's going to take them all out.
Yeah.
Not going to tell
Mhm.
him go, and I'm going to stay here. I can't wait because here's the thing. All of her doctors by now, they know that they're being accused of medical malpractice. Okay, they
Mhm.
know. They know that her attorney is saying she was over medicated. It's going to come up that she was misdiagnosed as well. That's just my guess. They're not going to take that lying down. Attorneys that represent medical malpractice are sharks, man. They are out for blood. They are not going to take that lying down. I hope the jury's ready because they're going to hear some crazy stuff. You're going to have doctors for the defense giving all the reasons she was over medicated, that she was misdiagnosed. Then you're going to hear a bunch of doctors that are representing the doctors, talking for the doctors, all of her medical reports, talking about why, no, actually, she had amazing, amazing care.
Yeah, and also in that same token, don't be surprised if she doesn't have all the documentation because working in the health field, you open up patients' charts sometimes and you don't even know why they're coming in. I mean, the healthcare industry, it's so busy. We're understaffed, overworked, underpaid. Nurses don't always document properly. I mean, it's a big thing in our meetings where we're constantly being reminded, make sure you're documenting this, make sure you're writing everything truthful down. Like you cannot put your opinion in somebody's patient chart. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's not, there was a day where she went to go see her doctor and there's not good documentation or I mean, I wouldn't be. This is going to be a very hard trial to sit through because people are going to realize that your doctors aren't as trustworthy as you think they are. And I'm not saying that's every doctor across the board. I'm just saying there's some lazy doctors and nurses and PAs out there who don't really care. They're there to make money. They're overworked. They want to go home to their family. So they do the bare minimum sometimes.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And had she just been seeing like one doctor, that'd be one thing. But she had been to several. Hold on one second. I got to fix this chat. It's driving me nuts.
okay.
Several things I have to reply to. And I keep looking over and I'm like, the chat's moving on my phone, but not on here. Hang on. Okay, sorry. Well,
Okay.
when I come out, then the chat's back. I don't know. We'll see.
And I also think Patrick, sorry to cut you off, but I have just one more thought.
Go ahead.
Patrick posting that thing, his was it the GoFundMe where he posted that long paragraph about everything? I feel like that's also kind of swaying people because I really want to know, were they really that happily married? I mean, I'm married. I love my husband so much, but there's some days, we all can agree. There's some days where it's just not perfect, and there's months where it's not perfect. I don't know if that was an attorney that told him to write something like that. I mean,
It sounds like an attorney move because
yeah.
we're in the world of social media. They can pick a jury before the jury walks in because they can tell what people are thinking. And I think this is just my opinion. I think the state came out swinging yesterday because of the $1 million raised in the GoFundMe. And because of they can see on social media people saying, "Oh my God, it's Andrea Yates all over again. I went through this. I feel so bad for him." And all of these nurses that worked with her at the hospital and stuff like that. So they came out saying, "Look, it was planned. She planned this. Stop this now." I think that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Petty Kitty said, "I have a few questions about the husband, what was shut down, not here elsewhere, but apparently we can't question him." Of course you can. Of course you can. A lot of people have questions about Patrick.
There's a lot of questions.
Like Sis said, he puts out the kids we get, but he tells everyone to stand behind her. But why? He has not been to her hospital room. We understand. He wasn't in court yesterday. We understand. Everything that he says in the GoFundMe is past tense, and I get it, dude. I get it. The marriage cannot be put back together. People say he knew he was home because of the issues she was having. He went to the doctor the week before and said she's got medication issues. Why would he go on a weird ass errand like that? He knew he was going way out of the way. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, what was he thinking too?
Yeah. And then for them to say that she was having the best day she's had in a while. How do you know? I mean, I can smile through anything. When somebody in your family dies, you don't just sit around the table and cry the whole time. I mean, you still smile, you have expression, That's why it's so hard to say she was having the best day she's had in a long time. What's her best day? What's her worst day? We'll never know. We're not in her mind. It's so hard to make a definite with saying that kind of stuff.
No, we can ask questions, and I don't think he's to blame at all. I don't think he's to blame at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he had that day to do over, he would damn sure do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was his attorney, I'd be sweating bullets right now. I'd be sweating bullets because he's already put his face out there on the news and everything. And with what came out in court yesterday, we don't know that Patrick knew that before. Patrick could easily be like, look, people are pulling their GoFundMe money. And now that I know that she planned this, I just don't think I really want to pay for her defense. So you're just going to have to eat this one, buddy. Call it free publicity.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like the state has more though to push that in court that it was premeditated because we only heard, a fraction of what they found. I mean, they had her journals. So if they think it's premeditated, did they not read a section of her journal where it talks about how she would rather not be alive and take her kids with her? I mean, we don't know. This wasn't trial. This was just,
Damn, it
arraignment.
sounded like a trial. Good Lord.
Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, it was a lot of info to take in, but I mean, we
And
don't know everything they have.
And who was this dude over in the corner?
Oh, yeah, that reporter.
Yeah, he's a reporter. He's a reporter. I mean, I don't know if he's a reporter anymore today because everybody's like, why is that dude asleep?
Some part of it, he looked like disgusted. He looked like, oh my, this is bad.
He didn't bring his poker face. Now, a lot
No.
of people are saying that she's not allowed to talk to anybody or anything like that. Her attorney said she has been talking to her parents. Now, it's blurry. Drew with Boston 25, he said her effect is absolutely flattened. She's in a very surreal state. It feels dreamlike. Forensic psychologists share insight after several visits with Lindsay Clancy. In hospital room at Brigham and Women's, Clancy used psychologist's phone twice in recent days to call her husband. Okay, so she's called him a couple of times, and I don't know if you can believe the rumors or not, but he hasn't been answering the phone.
Yeah, and also I think she has contact with people in her life just because what if she slips up and says something? I feel like that, her telling Patrick that she went into a psychosis and someone told her to do this in her head. I mean, he went right to police or whoever with that because they knew right away that she said it. So I feel like he's also helping the state with their defense, honestly.
Yeah, without even knowing he's helping them. Without even knowing, because basically he's just telling the story. He doesn't even realize what information he's given them. Because when they said that he said this, look what she did. And he says, what has she done? Hang on, Tiffany. And then I'm going to fix this. Tiffany, thank you for the super chat, Tiffany. Tiffany said, do we put her in the Leilani file now if it was indeed proven she planned and plotted this? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. I'm going to bring Rowena up. You two discuss for a second. I'm going to fix this chat thing because it's driving me nuts. Hello, Rowena. Rowena, are you asleep?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It kept doing, my phone's doing weird things. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Steph. Nice to meet you.
You too.
I'll be right back. You two chat for a second. I'm going to fix this chat thing.
Okay. Number one, this is just me. Everybody just please do self-care. If it gets deep, as we go through the arraignment again, and you have to step out, there's no shame in that. Yesterday, I had been out running some errands and doctor's appointments, and I came in, and I just felt like the last 10 minutes of the show.
I'm sorry.
And then I went back and I listened, and I was livid.
Yes, you were.
To say the least. I was pissed. So, just do self-care. If you have to step away, then, just watch out for your own, because we all, it's like Sis said, show me a person that hasn't had depression and I'll show you a liar. I mean, that's just, but, so anyway, go ahead, Brooke. That's the only thing I wanted to say that first.
Oh, no.
I have many thoughts.
Well, the chat didn't fix itself. I'll have to get a hold of StreamYard. I can see it on YouTube on my phone. So bear with me, guys. If I don't put a comment up, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I'm having to look back and forth. I look like a bobblehead. Oh yeah, that's for sure. And everybody since childhood has dealt with bouts of anxiety, depression, good days, bad days. Um, some people it's not just a mood, and
Exactly.
we're not doctors up here. And even if we had a doctor up here, even if
No
we
medical.
had a psychiatrist up here, they wouldn't be able to shed too much light on this situation because they didn't treat Lindsay.
Right.
Everybody is so specific with their care. I can't stand the umbrella statements when it comes to such important matters like medical, like legal, like education. I can't stand it. I cannot
Mhm.
stand it.
Me either. And I hope that, in the previous shows that everybody understood that, I wasn't giving medical advice. I'm not giving medical advice. But just saying what I've seen as a nurse, not what and hopefully that's one thing that really anger just makes me livid about this is that I hope that people still do um, educate themselves on postpartum depression, on postpartum psychosis, and they look at their sisters, their friends, their whatever, and they can recognize the signs and be there for them before it gets to a point. I'm not going to say a Lindsay, but a point.
Well, and remember,
So,
doctors aren't gods. Doctors
right,
are not
Mhm.
gods. They're humans.
right.
They practice medicine. They
Thank
practice
you.
it.
Yeah,
So, so this could be a misdiagnosis. We don't know. A lot's going to come out. I do know that.
And also, I feel like people think that doctors are just going to take everything away, but it's you as the patient who has to take their advice, apply their advice to your life, see what's working, what's not working, go back, be honest, and say, this isn't working for me. I mean, patients think that, like you said, they're gods. They're going to take all my pain away. But you also, as the patient, have to put in the work and be honest with yourself and really apply what they're telling you to your daily life, or you're never going to get better. And that's why healthcare is so tricky, is because people don't want to take the responsibility. And I know it's hard with postpartum depression, but you really, if you know you have something wrong, you really have to rely on the people around you. And it's harder, it's easier said than done, obviously. But I
Oh, you
mean,
are so right. You are so right because doctors, that's one of their biggest freaking frustrations. Okay. The only people that like when people don't do what they say is dentists because they can make a shitload more money. But it's so frustrating for doctors when they're telling you what to do. And it's like, yeah, I know you told me to lay off the carbs, but wouldn't it just be easy? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
definitely. You
Bama.
have to be proactive in your care.
Yeah.
Well, and it's some people think it's easier to take a pill, but I'm not going to get off on all this. That's on a medical.
Yeah, yeah.
Bama Skin said, "Thank you for the super sticker." Hang on. Yes, we love Rowena, brings common sense and medical knowledge. We love to hear you speak your mind like a southern scolding aunt. That's our Rowena.
Look, the people at Amazon one day, they thought I was Paula Dean. She really did. She said, "Are you Paula Dean?" I said, "Baby, if I was Paula Dean, I'd be on a beach and my assistant will be calling you." I wouldn't be ordering bubble wrap and griping that I didn't get the pre-cut kind.
Uh-huh.
So no, thank you so much. But yeah,
I can't get that out of my head now. You do sound like Paula Dean.
no, I don't. I do like butter though, but this is hard. It's a hard case. I was very upset, and I am very upset. And I go from anger to crying to praying to just all of it. And I'm gonna tell you just the highlights that got me in the arraignment. Um, she googled how long it was gonna take. I'm sorry if I want something 30 minutes away and I've eaten there. Uh, I just tell my husband, "Hey, I want such and such." You know what I mean? I don't have to. I don't have to look it up. Number two, he called her from CVS. She didn't answer. She called him 1 minute later. She called him back. 1 minute later, she was strangling her children when she called him back.
A lot can
If you're
happen in
in
1
a
minute.
psychotic state, you do not have the wherewithal to tell your husband what kind of laxative to give your child. Period. Period. You can't dial a phone when you're in a psychotic state. And you have to think about what is psychosis. It is unreal. Thoughts, sounds, taste, everything. Okay? It is fear. The fact that she said, okay, let me keep on going. All right.
It's your show, Rowena. We're just
I'm
here.
sorry. I'm sorry, but girl, I am,
Girl.
girl. Okay. I done warned my husband. I said, we ain't going to Sam's yet. Oh, hell to the no, no, no.
I'm gonna go take a shower.
I,
I'll be right back, you guys.
shut up. Hush. Anyway, I'll hush if you want me to. I swear I will. But these are just things that I recognize
Okay.
because I watched it 5 times. Okay. Another thing is that it took her 5 minutes. That's not stabbing your child and going to the next one. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time. Maybe we should have 5 minutes of silence and everybody would realize how long 5 minutes is. She put 2 children in the finished basement to the left. Okay. So when you go down the stairs, apparently to the left is probably like a family room, whatever most basements are that are finished. She put the 2 older children there. She put the baby in his office. Why were they not together? Look at the previous cases of true postpartum psychosis and mothers killing their children. They are placed together because that's what they want. They want to save them from whatever she is feeling, hearing, smelling, even tasting. Okay? Remember, my one patient, she was pregnant with snakes. She said, I'm pregnant with snakes. It didn't matter the ultrasound. It didn't matter what we told her. She saw snakes and it terrified her. So it's very real to them. Okay? Number whatever. The state came and said that uh um crap, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, oh, okay. Yes, you can put on a happy face. We all can.
Sure.
I think we've all done it. You can go out and live in the world and put on that happy face. Okay. And you've got stuff going on in your head. Okay. You can. Um, the attorney talking about, everything that she was able to do. The journal entries and things, I do believe that she was probably told to do that. Okay. Probably told to do, what your mood is. Da, da, da. There's nothing in there that said a word that even insinuated psychosis. Having suicidal thoughts is not psychosis. It's not. She was diagnosed with general anxiety. Okay. I okay. Anxiety, she voiced anxiety about returning to work. Okay. Every single job, I don't care what you do. If you've been off work and you have to return, you're anxious about it. Okay. Especially being a nurse, especially being a labor and delivery nurse. Policy and procedures change overnight. You get there and I've got a whole computer system. What? When do we start doing this? And we quit handwriting. It happens. We got new IV pumps. Oh, what? Okay, what? So you do have that anxiety returning to work. You
And
you
we have
do.
heard nearly enough about her medical condition, the true condition, from
Right.
all the treating doctors to know. We did make that leap because she had been talking on Facebook. The internet's not the doctor. She even went to a Facebook group talking about Zoloft.
Right.
Now, Christina has a question. Thank you, Christina. Did he actually call to check on her, or did he really need the info on the Miralax? That's what I
I
want to
think
know.
I think he really needed the info on the Miralax. I really do, because that's what the state said, and he told them what he said and what she said, and it was over. I mean, it was a quick call, and he even added that she seemed preoccupied.
Oh, she was preoccupied. She
Right.
was, and she also knew she didn't need the damn Miralax.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
Christina has a great point. The pharmacy could have helped him. And
Yeah.
true. The pharmacy could have helped him for sure. But then I think about, and I'm sure he's listening, my own husband, he would call me before asking the pharmacist.
Oh yeah, my
Yeah.
husband's not going to stand in line, behind
Mhm.
3 people trying to check out, to ask a
Yes.
pharmacist, where's the pediatric laxative and what do I need to buy? He's not going to do that.
No.
He's going to
And
call me up and go, what did you tell me to get? Because I ain't got that. What? They
yeah,
got this, this, and this. Get
Mhm.
that.
send
Period.
your husband grocery shopping and see how many phone calls and text messages you get. It's
No, my
constant.
husband grocery shops. I don't grocery shop.
Set a guy
Right.
somewhere to get something. I mean, you're getting a phone call, a text message
Right.
for help. They're not asking.
So, that stood out to me. That stood out to me. Another thing, I do believe that, of course, she cut herself. He saw blood when the door was locked. He was able to get in the bedroom, and he saw blood on the carpet and the window open. Okay, I don't know how much blood. I don't know. Did he come back too fast? Because I mean, if he drove like me, you can get there in about half the time. Um, I did it yesterday, but so I don't know how fast he drove. Was it not enough time? Did she panic when she heard him come up? I know my husband's truck. I mean, I know the sound of it. So, is that when she jumped out the window? I don't know, but I don't know how much blood was on the floor. But she had stopped bleeding by the time he got there. So you're talking about she killed 3 children, and let's just say that it took 5 minutes apiece. So you're talking about 15 minutes. That's not including the time it took her to get them. I don't know if I don't know if they were already, who knows? I don't know. Um, and then do that to herself, and then throw herself out a window while she was talking on the phone, telling him what laxative to get. So, yeah, there's that. I don't know. We'll know. I don't know. And another thing is her.
There's no way I would be athletic or not. There's no way she was in her right mind when she jumped out that window.
No. I'm not saying that she was totally with it at all. No, she tried to commit suicide. She did. She tried to commit suicide, and yeah,
I think she jumped because I don't think people realize, killing yourself with trying to cut yourself. I mean, it hurts and you have to think about what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you have to think
yeah.
regardless. But I mean,
And
cutting yourself to kill yourself is really
she
hard to
had
do.
enough pills there. She could have emptied the bottles, and she'd have been unconscious
Mhm.
by the time he got there, and the kids could have been alive in the house.
Yep.
She didn't need to take them with her.
That came up a lot in the comments yesterday. She had all of this medication.
Yep.
Why didn't she? And trigger warning, trigger.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm saying it. Why didn't she take that path as far as the knife, and she knows how to cut and she's a nurse, but pain is pain. If you
Mm-hmm.
take the pain, when I think about those 3 babies though,
Mm-hmm.
those 3 babies,
Mm-hmm.
her son, her middle son, her middle child, and her daughter know what's going on.
Mhm.
When I think about that, I mean, all the rest of it just goes out the window and says, "Well, sucks that your doctors failed. Sucks. Sucks for you, lady." But when I hear the state talking about how long it took, she's looking at she has to be looking at them to do this. He has to cut the bands off their little necks. Oh my
I,
God. Oh my God.
I, I,
I
There's
just, I
just no
don't know.
words. There's no words for it,
That
honestly.
yesterday that was a kick in the gut.
oh,
I,
I cried. I, I, I I just sat there and just wept. I was it, like my mind can't go there with him. Like, it's like you can watch it like a movie, you know what I'm talking about? Like in your mind, but to actually sit there and try to imagine what he felt, heard, saw,
Mhm.
I, I, I can't imagine. I just,
It's also going to say a lot too about, when we find out which one she, unalived first, because I'm thinking she did the oldest first, because I feel like the oldest would be able to not fight back, but in a sense, try to protect her brother. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I feel like
Mhm.
she was 5.
hmm
5-year-olds, they know a lot. They can see a lot. They repeat everything. So I feel like I don't want to think about it, but I
yeah,
feel like she did oldest to youngest, because I mean, that 5-year-old would scream for help. I feel like maybe she would have done something, unless she gave them something to make them not with it. But
I
she
don't
didn't
think
not
it
have
would
enough
have
time.
worked.
Yeah,
And
I don't think they
it,
had enough time.
and their little autopsies, I think that would have come out in the States, but who knows? I mean, we just don't know.
Yeah.
It's just,
Little Nurse Sunshine said, "Welcome to the channel, by the way." Said, "General rule of thumb is 50% of all falls that are from 3 times your height are fatal. In other words, a 6-foot individual will die 50% of the time from an 18-foot fall. So here she is, 5'4", and she jumped 20 feet. I
Yeah.
mm,
think it's safe to say she was ready to check out of the hotel."
right.
Mhm.
And I don't, oh God, I hope y'all, I don't think that this woman was all there. I don't.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, this
But
I'm replying to the chat. Don't think you have to explain yourself. You never have to explain yourself up here, because that's what we do. We're just, we're all talking and trying to get through something that is
it's
just
hard.
so crazy. So I think about Kat's comment, and she said, "We need to find some precedent," and I'm looking. What did they do and it's got to be out there. What did they do in other cases where there is a murder slash unalive? What did they do when the person that committed the M/S, when they survived? What's the precedent? What did they do? Did they get institutionalized for life, or did they serve time? Of course, it's going to matter the state too, believe it or not. Harper Grace says, "I feel like there's something else going on." Oh, I think so too. And I think
hmm
I think if the last couple of weeks are any ruler to measure this by, we know a lot more is going to come out. Let's go through, and it's going to be tough, but here we go. Let's go through the arraignment again, because every time I listen to it, something else jumps out at me.
Hey,
And
Brox,
watch her body
I'm gonna,
language.
oh, sorry. I'm
Watch,
gonna jump off and let you guys finish. I'm gonna go outside and take a walk and get some fresh air. So I hope you guys have a great day.
Oh, hun, are you
it
okay?
was,
Oh no, I'm fine. I have work later tonight, and I just want to get outside and get some sunshine. It's freezing out, but the sun's out, so I'm gonna go get some. I'm gonna listen still, so I'll comment in the chat.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because this is a really, really heavy topic, but you're
Oh
doing
no,
hmm
it definitely is. And when you have, I have nieces and nephews, and it's really hard, because I mean, my niece is 4, so I mean, it's like I can't even fathom it's hard, but I'm fine. I will comment in the chat, and I hope you ladies have a good day.
sis, it was so nice meeting you.
Yeah,
You
and make sure
too.
you come back on panel. Loved having you up.
I will. Thanks. Have a good day, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, Rowena, you ready for this again?
Girl, come on.
Come on, girl.
I'll hear from you first. Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth is requesting that the defendant be held without bail based on the facts of the case, the strength of the Commonwealth's case, and the potential penalty. On Friday, January 27, 2023, using an erasable whiteboard because she was still temporarily intubated, one of the first questions that Lindsay Clancy asked was, "Do I need an attorney?" She knew that she had murdered her children, and she had the clarity, focus, and mental acumen to focus on protecting her own rights and interests. The following is a summary of the events that led to the murders of Cora Clancy, Dawson Clancy, and Callan Clancy.
Okay, before they go through the summary, let's talk about right off the bat. They have the whiteboard. She's got a tube in her throat, I guess. She can't talk. She takes the marker and asks about an attorney. Now, what do you guys make of that? Do you think that that is a self-saving, oh shit moment? Or do you think it's like Pammy said, she saw that there was armed guards around her and was like, am I in trouble? What do you guys think?
I don't believe that there was armed guards around her. I believe that they do have somebody there. They're in the room or they're at a window. Now she'll have a nurse with her 24/7 because of the suicide attempt. But
there is a policeman in the room with her at all times. That's what we've been.
But you can't bank. There is one policeman, so I think this was a self-serving thing.
Yeah, she's definitely guarded, guys. She's definitely guarded.
Yeah.
Okay, JM said if she was psychotic, she wouldn't be thinking of an attorney. I Love Coffee said she knew what she did.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can be having a psychotic event and not remember. You can have a psychotic event and remember. But either way, if you do remember and you feel like you need an attorney, before you ask for that, I would say, I'm sorry, I'm sick, help me. Versus, I got to save my tail. So that's just me. All this is just my opinion.
So what are you guys thinking when she asked for an attorney? Was that self-saving, or do you think she was intimidated by, having the district attorney there and a policeman? I think she was scared for herself. That's me. Karma says self-saving. Christina says self-serving. What do you think, Rowena?
I definitely think self-serving. She knew what she did, so she remembered it, whether it was a psychotic event or not. The first things that I would think that a person would say is, I'm sorry, I'm sick, help me, something like that. But to have the clarity, wanting an attorney, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in the room. So, yeah, I'm not digging on that.
That was the first punch in the gut yesterday. Penny. It was one after another after another. I felt like I was Mr. T in the Rocky movie. It was one after another because I was not expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting any of this. And I would think as a mother coming out of a psychotic episode, the first thing you would say is, why am I in the hospital? What happened? Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm alive. Where's my kids? Where are the kids? Where's Patrick?
And y'all have to think her baby hadn't died yet when she woke up after surgery. Her baby hadn't died yet. She didn't ask. She didn't know.
Yep.
So, I can't. I just can't. I can't. I'm just picturing things in my head and I can't say them. So she didn't know.
Jersey Girl said, anytime, no matter who you are, if you are under arrest in a hospital, you'll be handcuffed to a bed, even if you're giving birth. That's true. That's true. Because they don't know what state. I mean, she's a criminal. I say she's a criminal. She hasn't been, the gavel hasn't come down yet. She's charged with a horrific crime. Now, also think about this. Patrick has a baby boy, his son, clinging on for dear life, and they have to take him off life support.
Hmm. He is a brain dead child.
Oh,
I mean, if you, that's what he was looking at. And I've been that nurse caring for those babies, and it's horrific.
All right, let's get to the summary. Here we go.
On the morning of Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, the defendant took her 5-year-old daughter, Cora, to the pediatrician's for an appointment. She interacted with a receptionist, nursing staff, and a doctor. There were apparently no issues with the defendant's demeanor or behavior as she completed the appointment and was allowed to leave with Cora without any issues or concerns. When she returned home, she went outside with Cora and her 3-year-old son, Dawson, to play in the snow. They built a snowman. The defendant sent photos to her mother and to the defendant, to her husband. She texted with them. Nothing in the text was out of the ordinary or any sign of any distress or trouble. Back inside later that day at 4:02 p.m., the defendant searched on her phone, Kids Miralax. She then searched at Takeout 3V via her cell phone at 4:13 p.m. Immediately after doing that, she used Apple Maps on her phone to determine how long it would take someone to drive from her home in Duxbury to 3V restaurant in Plymouth. So she would know how long someone would be gone if they ran that errand. She next went on the CVS website at 4:47 p.m. and then called CVS on Summer Street in Kingston. She spoke to the manager of CVS and asked if they had the Kids Miralax.
I've got the show. I can't see chat. I'm on my phone. I'm sorry.
Oops, sorry about that. Let's pick that up.
We had so much fun while you were gone.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. And then called CVS on Summer Street in Kingston. She spoke to the manager of CVS and asked if they had the Kids Miralax. The manager told her no, but they had other similar medications. According to the manager of CVS, her voice did not sound slurred or impaired in any way. She had no trouble understanding the defendant, and it was a perfectly normal conversation. At 4:53 p.m., the defendant texted her husband, who was working in his home office in their basement. She texted, "Any chance you want to do takeout from 3V? I didn't cook anything. It's been a long day." This was an unusual request, as when the family ordered takeout, they'd usually go somewhere closer to home, but it was a place that they had been in the past.
Now, this is information they can only get from Patrick because she's not talking to the prosecution for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, him just telling what went on that day is definitely helping the state, because when he says this was an unusual request,
Mm-hmm.
well, look at the map. She sent him, I mean, there's food in Duxbury. But she sends him down to Plymouth. So he's in, in hindsight's a bitch. He's going back saying this was an unusual. Indie Girl said, I wonder if she was chatting with anyone on social media, like an online dating site. I'm wondering if that's not going to wind up coming out too. There's got to be a reason for all this. But I mean, the reason
Susan Smith.
Well, but if it wasn't for her jumping out the window, this conversation would be totally different. Different.
Patrick Clancy texted back yes, and then the defendant asked him to check the menu. At 5:06 p.m., the husband texted the defendant asking what she was going to get. She responded, a Mediterranean power bowl. She spelled it correctly, and it was something that was on the menu. He then told her that he wanted the scallop and pork belly risotto. At 5:10 p.m., the defendant called 3V Restaurant to place the order. She got the order correct. She gave the correct name for pickup, Patrick. The hostess who took the call said there was nothing out of the ordinary about this call. She was able to understand the defendant, that her voice was not slurred or impaired in any way. At 5:15 p.m., Patrick Clancy headed out the door to run these errands at the defendant's request. As he left, she texted him Pedialyx liquid stool softener. Surveillance footage shows Mr. Clancy at CVS on Summer Street in Kingston at 5:32 p.m. He goes to the medication aisle, the children's medication aisle. Phone records show that he called the defendant at 5:33 p.m. and she did not answer the phone. She then calls him back at 5:34 p.m. and the call lasted 14 seconds. He's there at the store unsure of which medication to get, and she tells him exactly what she wants. He had no issues communicating with her. It was a completely normal call, although he did mention that she seemed like she was in the middle of something.
Okay, that she was in the middle of something. This is what she ordered, the Mediterranean Power Bowl from 3V. That's what she sent him down there to get. Her thoughts were organized, but she seemed like she was in the middle of something. That is such a haunting statement to say. That is such a haunting statement, but she was in the middle of something. She was in the middle of something. And the courts are innocent until proven guilty. You know, we're not the courts here. So she murdered her 3 children. There's no way around it. There's just no way around it. I saw a couple of comments, people saying, you know, oh, it's innocent till proven guilty. She's innocent at this time. As far as the courts are concerned, she is. I have a feeling Patrick feels a little different about that. This is horrible. This is just horrible.
He is on surveillance footage during this time, exiting that aisle and appeared to be using his phone. He then heads to the register, makes his purchase, and leaves the store at 5:37 p.m. He's next seen on footage at 3V restaurant at 5:54 p.m. He picks up the food and he's out of there within a minute. When he arrives home, the first thing he noticed was the silence. He did not see or hear the defendant or the children. He actually called her cell phone at 6:09 p.m. looking for them, and she did not answer. He went to their bedroom on the 2nd floor and the door was locked. He was able to open it, and when he looked inside, he saw blood on the floor in front of a full-length mirror and the window open. He immediately runs downstairs and into the backyard where he finds the defendant laying on the ground. She appeared to have cuts on her wrists and neck, but he stated to 911 that those wounds were no longer bleeding. She was conscious. He called 911. During this time, he asked the defendant, "What did you do?" She responded to him, "I tried to kill myself and jumped out the window." During the 911 call, Patrick can be heard asking the defendant, "Where are the kids?" He later told police that she replied, "In the basement." So immediately after this happened, she knew what she had done and she knew where the kids were. When EMS arrived, he asked them to stay with her so he could go find his kids. The 911 call kept going. Patrick can be heard on the 911 call entering the home and heading to the basement. At one point, he calls out, "Guys." He can then be heard screaming in agony and shock as he found his children. His screams seem to get louder and more agonized as the time passes. Cora and Callan were on the floor in the den area of the finished basement, which is to the left when you walk down the stairs, while Dawson was alone on the floor in his father's home office, which is to the right when you go down the stairs. Each child still had the exercise band that was used to strangle them tied around their necks when their father found them. Dawson and Callan were face down on the floor. Cora was on her side with her torso turned towards the floor. He removed the bands and begged them to breathe. He continued to scream uncontrollably and screamed for officers to come to the basement. The dispatchers are hearing this and they send help down to the basement. And when they encounter Patrick, he yells out, "She killed the kids." The police rushed the children to ambulances that brought them to the hospital. And unfortunately, Cora and Dawson were declared dead at the hospital. Callan was med-flighted to Boston Children's Hospital. Medical staff was able to restart his pulse, but not his brain activity. He was placed on life support for several days before passing away. The defendant was transported to South Shore Hospital and then to a Boston area hospital where she remains. She sustained several broken bones in her back and her rib cage. The police were able to find several notebooks in the defendant's home pursuant to a search warrant, and also notes on her phone that were similar to journal entries. In the months, weeks, and days preceding January 24th, 2023, the defendant meticulously detailed her daily activities, her children's lives, her mental state, and her medication use. Her writing was clear, precise, and articulate. She never indicated that she was hallucinating, delusional, or had disordered thoughts or speech. In all of her writing, she appears to know who she is, where she is, the date, and with whom she's interacted. She wrote a note on her phone the day before killing the children, stating that she had, quote, a touch of postpartum anxiety, end quote, around returning to work. She wrote that her psychiatrist had prescribed medication to help her. The defendant was initially diagnosed, according to her husband, with generalized anxiety disorder. She was then evaluated at the Women and Infant Center for Women's Behavioral Health in Providence, Rhode Island on December 20th, 2022. There, after an evaluation, she was told in the presence of her husband that by psychiatrists that she did not have postpartum depression and that she had no symptoms of postpartum depression. She wrote in her journal that at times she had suicidal ideation in December of 2022, and she also told her husband that she had suicidal thoughts and on one occasion had thoughts of harming her children.
Okay, so this part really, really pisses a lot of people off. They said if she had been saying to him that she had thoughts of unaliving herself, everything that they're mentioning here, I mean, the state's putting this out here. The state's saying it. They know that this is, they know this is being streamed. They know this is on the local news for their potential jury pool to hear. They know this. So here's where people get really upset with Patrick. Why would he leave her alone? Again, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. It seemed like a great day, right? She takes Cora to the doctor. She plays with the kids in the snow. She says, hey, let's get takeout. It's been a crazy day. It just seems like a really normal day. But some people are like, Hey, Jay. Jay said my gut was right. Britt said he didn't believe it was as bad as claimed, apparently. That goes without saying.
How long, there's no time on when she did say this. And I'm not making an excuse for her, believe that.
Mm-hmm. It was
but
November, December. So we're at the end of January now.
Right.
Rowena said, but not recently. She was
right.
doing well. He didn't need to go to the doctor with her. Exactly. So things were looking up. She wasn't
right.
a zombie anymore.
Right. So did she say this 3 weeks after she delivered, or did she say this 8 weeks after she delivered? And I believe that, he did go to the doctor with her. We'll find out more what he told the doctor.
It was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, her attorney said a week before they had gone to the doctor, and he said she's like a zombie. Seems like they changed up her medication. Maybe said, don't take this. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I wasn't there. They didn't say. So when people say, he shouldn't have left her alone, I can see why he would leave her alone. Things were on the up and up. She was back to being the old Lindsay.
Right.
But she did not write or voice those thoughts after a stay at McLean Hospital. When she had those thoughts, she consulted with a psychiatrist and with her husband, and then she committed herself to McLean Hospital on January 1st, 2023. She was discharged by the hospital on January 5th, 2023. And the hospital did not file any paperwork at that time attempting to have her committed as a danger to herself or others. She also kept meticulous and detailed daily medication logs in a diary that she wrote. She detailed that she had difficulties with each of the medications that were prescribed to her. And when she had issues with those medications, she detailed how her doctor had her stop that medication or wean off of it and then try something else. They were trying different medications to see what would work for her, what would benefit her. According to her husband, she was never on more than 4 to 5 medications at one time. And at the time of the murder, she was taking only 3 medications. And he said to the police that she always took the medications as prescribed. After her stay at McLean, the defendant appeared to be getting better. according to her husband. She slept well, interacted with friends and family. She went out with her kids and husband to places like the Kingsbury Club in Duxbury, the Charlie Horse Restaurant, the Museum of Science in Boston, the Cape Codder down the Cape, interacting with her family and the public without any apparent difficulties. She even stayed alone with the children on several occasions without any issues in January of 2023. Her husband asked her in mid-January, "Are you still having suicidal thoughts?" And she said no. The defendant's parents visited the family the weekend of January 21st, 2023. They interacted with the defendant in person. The defendant was able to run errands while her mom watched the children. She texted back and forth with her mother, and there was nothing out of the ordinary about these text messages. In fact, the defendant texted her mother on January 22nd, 2023 to ask how her ride home went. During this conversation, the defendant's mother wrote, quote, "Enjoyed seeing everyone this weekend. Nice to see you doing better," end quote. On the night of the killings, Patrick Clancy was interviewed by the police at Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth Hospital. He told the police that the defendant was having one of her best days. She was smiling and happy, and there was no indication that she was going to harm the kids. No one at all described her as acting like a zombie in the days leading up to the murder or on the day of the murders themselves. On February 5th, 2020.
Okay, I hate to interrupt this, but it just dawned on me. Miss Moolah, it's terrifying. Him leaving, he's a doting husband, okay? That's how they have, he took off work to stay home with her, help out. He works from home. Him leaving to go get the food and not thinking anything of it only furthers the state's case that she pre-planned all of this.
Mm-hmm. I think she pre-planned it for days.
Shannon Lee, who is also from the area. Sorry, I can't put comments up. StreamYard's really screwing me over today. Shannon said, "You know what really grinds my gears?" She stated she wanted another child. That's one of the things that people are saying, that she likes babies.
Yeah.
But she has an issue when they get older. Miss June, let's bring Miss June up. Hi, Miss June.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. You're going to have to close out of YouTube because it causes an echo, and then I'll bring you right back up, okay?
I thought I closed it. Hold on. Yes, I've closed it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You should hear me. I've closed YouTube.
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. I just joined a few seconds ago and I saw that you were talking about this. I've been following this case religiously, and there's a reason for it. My mother had postpartum depression, so I know it's a very, very real disease.
Very.
And for all of you, yeah. And in 1974, they did not know what they know today.
Mm-hmm.
My mother committed suicide.
Oh,
I'm
no.
so sorry.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
How old were you?
I was 4 years old. Actually almost 3. My brother was still a baby. She never harmed us. We were never harmed as babies, okay? But she always had this delusion that she was a bad mother, okay? That she had this fear that CPS was going to take myself and my brother away from us, from her, excuse me. And I mean, it was so bad. The last day she died, my father was worried about her and took her down to her parents' house with us. And that's when she OD'd on Dilantin. Not Dilantin, Digitalis, which was her father's heart medication. And by the time they realized what she had done, I mean, she was a dead woman walking. They got her to the hospital, but it was too late.
Oh, my God.
I'm so sorry, Jan.
It's okay. It's real hard for me to talk about this, but, I'm telling you all this story because, man, this story is just hitting so close to home in more ways than you know. Because this poor woman, I mean, I know she loved those babies. I know she did. And I know her mind just is. This is a true mental order and disorder, and people are probably just judging her so harshly.
Oh, no, no, no.
I'm
We're,
not
we're
judging
having a
Regina.
discussion. We've had 2 lives about this before where we just went on and on and on about postpartum depression and all this stuff. And, feeling, we feel horrible about the whole situation.
Oh,
It wasn't until the state said yesterday that she did not have it. So that's the
right.
reason we're having the conversation,
Oh,
because people are
I've seen the medication she was on, and I mean, I went through the whole list. I'm like, my God, that was totally irresponsible. Some of those medications you do not mix. And whoever this psychiatrist was that was doing this to her, Mr. Clancy has a hell of a lawsuit.
Well, she wasn't on every one of them at once. They were trying different things. So what did
Mhm.
you think yesterday obviously, what did you think yesterday when the state said she was not diagnosed with this? A lot of people are saying she had to have been misdiagnosed.
Oh, she had it. She had it big time. I mean, she had what's called postpartum psychosis, which is worse.
Well,
I mean, there's postpartum depression. Yeah, there's postpartum depression and there's postpartum psychosis, which are two different things. The psychosis is rare; it's like 15%, and when it explodes, and you really have to keep an eye on that person.
Mhm.
You really have to watch them,
You too.
and which it sounds like Mr. Clancy was, and but it sounds like
And June, please,
I
please do
I don't.
self-care.
I'm sorry. This
Please.
is really hurting me.
I know it is. And
This whole
and
thing. And,
I know.
well, every time this sort of thing happens, now, I know some women probably are faking it, but like the Andrea Yates case, now that was a true case too.
Yeah.
Right.
That
It was.
that was another, and people think that woman just up and did that just to be spiteful. And then once they got her back on Haldol, that woman realized what she had done, and she wanted to commit suicide because her husband had taken her off Haldol to have more kids because they were like the Duggars. They
The
were trying to,
religious.
yeah. And listen, let me explain something to you all. If you're on Haldol, your childbirthing days are over. That is a monster of a drug. You have, like if you get pregnant on Haldol, you have horrible side effects.
And I don't know if you've listened to have you listened to Brooke's other 2 lives on the show? I mean,
If
on
I
this
listen to
topic.
who?
Have you listened to Brooke's, this channel? Have you listened to the
Yes.
other? You have? Okay, good.
Yes, I've listened to this channel on and on. There used to be a guy who comes on here I used to love to listen to.
Jay Woody.
Yeah, that really old guy that's really funny, and I loved him.
Mm-hmm. Just please do.
No offense, please, but you were
No.
that guy was really.
No. Just please do care for yourself, okay?
I love that guy. He always said stuff that made sense.
Mm-hmm. He does. He's the voice of reason.
Yeah, that's why I loved him.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, come back.
Yeah,
What happened
he's
to
in the
him?
chat. I can't see chat, but I heard that he was in there. But just really watch out for yourself, and
Yeah,
because
take
this
care of
is
yourself.
so hard.
Because
I
this is a
can't
really,
imagine.
really heavy
Mm.
subject.
Well,
And
a lot of times, would you believe that on postpartum depression, that I've heard, now I don't know this to be true, I'm not a doctor, but one way they've helped women is birth control pills. Now think about what
sometimes because of the hormones.
yeah, it's a hormone, so you're just bringing the hormone levels back up because what's happening is you're pregnant, okay? You cut all these hormones, you feel so good. Now what happens when you give birth? Those hormones just drop, and then you feel, oh, okay, so you take birth control pills and it brings those hormones back up. And
There's
then
all kinds of different levels, though. I mean, and that's what, like we started out the show. Everybody is just so patient specific. I can say, and thank God, and thank you for sharing your story. I mean, I'm so sorry. One thing that has come out of examples like your mom is that anytime you go to a doctor, it doesn't matter, man, woman, it doesn't matter. Anytime you go to a doctor, and I don't know if it's nationwide, but it's in most states, that they have to do a depression screening on you at least once a year, especially your GP. So, um, even women that are out of the childbearing years that are going through menopause, I get mad because my husband breathes my same air some days, you know. But they do that depression screening to where you can identify things, and that's where things I think have really, really, really improved. And I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and I've seen the huge change in screening and in treatment, different types of treatment.
Okay, but now
That
let me interrupt you for a second. Is this
Mhm.
for like women who've just given birth? I mean,
that was my specialty.
oh, okay.
That was my specialty.
Remember,
That's
I'm
what I
just
did.
joining. So
Yeah,
remember in
that was my specialty.
1970, okay, I've got pictures of my mother in the
hmm
hospital giving birth. She had a pack of cigarettes by
Yeah,
her. Now think of how hospitals have changed since then.
yeah, I know. Well, my mom, I was born in 1965. Okay, my mom
Oh,
didn't
really?
smoke or drink,
Good year,
but
wasn't it?
yeah, it was a great year, but she was very anxious. So her doctor actually told her, you need to smoke a cigarette and have a drink every night. Really? That's what she was told. But that was in 1965. Okay. And then 1970, 1973 for your mom. So we have to look at the progress that we have made. No, it hasn't been fast enough. No, there needs to be more done. But when people do go to the doctor, I had back surgery in May. They asked me those questions at an orthopedic surgeon's office after my surgery because it is very triggering not to be able to care for yourself. I couldn't. I couldn't take a shower alone. And I'm talking about for a month. It's very debilitating. So there's all kinds of different things that can go through depression. Postpartum depression is very real. It is so real,
which is
and
why it
doctors are
threw
doing a better job.
which is why it threw everybody off yesterday that
Right.
it's been discussed. And like Tigress said, only the media has said she has it.
Right.
Her attorney did not say she has it. Her attorney said she was over medicated. I thought that was very odd last
Oh,
Friday.
I agree. I agree that both that she has postpartum and that she was possibly over medicated. I mean,
But I
when
don't,
I saw
I,
those lists of drugs she was on, I just hit the roof because I thought that was totally freaking irresponsible. And
But she
um,
wasn't on all
oh,
13 at
okay, I
once.
know, but
it was
these
over a 3 month period.
I know,
Okay.
but still, it takes time. And you, as a nurse,
I
know
know. I know.
when you like they put you on Prozac, it still stays in your system.
I know that. And the state brought up she was weaned off certain medicines. So we don't know the order. Okay. We don't know the order. We
I mean,
don't know how many, and we don't know what she told her doctor. That's another thing.
and
We don't know what she said. If there's a patient that comes in and says this medication is making me violently ill, I'm nauseated, I can't eat, or it's making me jittery, I can't sleep, it's contributing to my depression. The doctor's not going to say on those extreme cases because the patient's going to stop taking it.
yes,
That's with a lot of medication. That's with okay. Who hasn't had inflammation, sinus infection, backache, and you get a Solu-Medrol dose pack? There's a reason why you take 6 pills the first day, 5 pills the next, 5 pills the next, because it turns off your adrenal gland. So the medication. If anybody read the side effects of an aspirin, including bleeding from your eyes, you'd never take it. So the doctors, we don't know. I and I feel you. I do. I can't imagine
And I'm
what
not,
this case is
and
to you.
we're not minimizing
No,
anything that
Well, the reason I'm saying this is because, every time a story comes up like this, I see some of the most vicious comments
you
out there.
do. You do, and
And
it's
I'm
horrible.
like, do you all not understand that most of these women feel like they're bad mothers?
Right.
Most of these women think that they're going around in their mind thinking, oh, I'm such a bad mother. And, the state's going to take my baby away. And my brother and I were never harmed. She gave us a bath every night. She made sure we were clean. Our house was so clean, you could eat off the kitchen floor. I mean, the house smelled like freaking Lysol. And I mean the Lysol in the little brown bottle.
Yeah,
You know which type I'm talking about.
I do.
I mean, it was obnoxious how clean the place was.
And that's a part of that can also contribute to the depression. When
Yes, she was
somebody,
OCD.
yes, yeah, thank you very much. She
She
could
was
have had
OCD.
and so we don't know Lindsay's mental history. I'm talking about before she delivered. We don't know. We only know what came out in court. Those are facts,
I mean,
not
Mr.
what
Mr. Clancy, if you're
my
listening to
heart
this,
breaks for
I
you.
am praying for you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for Mrs. Clancy. I hope Mrs. Clancy gets treatment in a nice
Hmm.
mental hospital and that they take in
Hmm.
consideration that she was truly mentally ill.
I hope so. I hope so. And I'm
if
so
the state
sorry.
has it, if the state has it their way, they're going to put her in jail. If her attorney can prove that she was truly over medicated and find a doctor to say she was misdiagnosed, then she's probably looking at institutionalization. And
That's what happened with Andrea Yates, that she was put in a psychiatric facility for the mentally insane.
yeah, and every year when it comes up that she can leave, I don't really know how it works. She chooses to stay. So she knows that she still needs help. She probably is,
And see, that proves that Andrea was not okay.
Oh, yeah, but that was proven in court a long time ago. I think what's frustrating for everybody with that case, and I don't mean to cross cases, but it came up, is that her and her husband both were warned over and over, no more kids. This is what could happen.
But and I want to say something to religious people like that, okay? To people like the Yateses who would do something like that to a woman. It says in the Bible that the Lord opens and the Lord closes the womb. Okay, they did that with I think it was Rachel or something, and with Sarah and a few other people. Okay, the Lord had closed Andrea Yates's womb, but Mr. Yates decided he knew better than the Lord, and the Lord said, "Fine, I'm taking all your kids."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sorry to get religious on all of you, but I do know the Bible, and the Lord had closed her womb when He put her on Haldol. He said, "That's it. That's it. That's all the children you're having." And they could have always adopted, and she could have been on Haldol, and they could have adopted children, and she could have raised those children just fine.
Exactly. And it's horrific what happened. And, they didn't listen to what the doctors say. They don't have crystal balls. But June, I really appreciate you coming up. And I'm so sorry about, your mama. And,
Well, one more thing I'd like to say, just ticks me off that medicine for women with postpartum depression is so lacking. I mean, we can give 80-year-old men erections with Viagra, but we can't give women with postpartum depression better options. I mean, we've got a lot of antipsychotics and stuff like this, but I still feel like we're lacking with education, and we're still lacking. I don't know. If stuff like this is happening,
It's horrible all the way around. It's horrible all the way
Do you,
around.
do you all see what I'm saying? I mean, and the nurse here, I don't know your name, nurse. I can't read it because it's too small, but do you agree with me?
Oh, yeah. When we did the show Sunday morning, we were talking about it. And I said, I would love, this is when we were under the impression that her insurance company wouldn't let her go inpatient for a while. We know that's not true now. There's a lot of things that we were told that are not true, and a lot more things are going to come out. And we said, I wish that there was a class action lawsuit against insurance companies instead of all these class action lawsuits against the drug manufacturers. I mean, both would be great for me, but I'd love to
Okay,
see insurance.
but do you know the history of Prozac?
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, and check out some of those other drugs too. I mean, Prozac should have been removed back in the 1990s. Why it's still on the market, I haven't a clue.
I don't know. I really don't get into all that, because if somebody in chat is on something like that, I don't want them to stop taking something and think that, well, I heard it here, so I shouldn't take that. Those things are very specific between patient and doctor.
Well,
June, I
yeah,
agree with
true.
you, June. I agree with you, June. There's so much that needs to be done as in mental health across the board.
Well,
Everything.
I mean, and I don't know your name, true crime and lies, but there's also a thing, let the buyer beware, and you should know what you're putting into your body. So at least research it. At least, okay, just don't take a pill because your doctor gives it to you. Ask your pharmacist. The pharmacist is the best person whenever you're given a medication, because your pharmacist knows more than actually your doctor, believe it or not. And whenever I've had any questions, I go to my pharmacist, because he or she can tell me things about those drugs, any drug. I mean, even if it's just cola syrup, which is over the counter, okay, your pharmacist can tell you so much about medication that your doctor probably doesn't know. And so ask your pharmacist if you've got questions. Most people just, the doctor writes them a script, they go take, and they go pop it. They don't know what they're putting into their bodies. And then when you go to the pharmacist, they give you like a whole rainforest of printouts. Read those things.
In the case that we're talking about here, she was very, very, very well aware of all these things. She was an RN. She was an RN. So we
she was a midwife. Is that the same as an RN, a midwife? Because in some states it is, in some states it isn't.
She was definitely an RN. So going back to the case at hand, what we're discussing here is she criminally responsible or not? Was she in her right mind? Was she in psychosis? They said she didn't have postpartum. They're going to have to go through all of her medical records. And
well, just because she's an RN doesn't mean that she can't suffer from mental illness.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
No. You said that people need to research what their doctor gives them, talk to their pharmacist and everything. I said her, of all people, would know that.
She was a labor and delivery nurse, and she was also she was a labor and delivery registered nurse, and she was also a midwife. So she was able to voice her concerns. And yes, everybody needs to be proactive in their care. Ask questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to the nurse in our chat room. That's what I'm saying. Be proactive when you go to the doctor. Read up on everything that goes into your body. And if you've got questions, the best person to ask is your pharmacist. Most people don't know that. Even nurse, did you know that the pharmacist knows more?
I've asked them. I've asked pharmacists, but I've also asked my doctor, things, and so I think, it's not just one team member in your care. I think that your pharmacist is also a team member, because your doctor also needs to know.
Oh yeah, of course.
What your concerns are.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm just saying that for like drug information, I have found that my pharmacist is the best.
Yeah. That's their specialty. So, but Lindsay, she was a labor and delivery nurse. Postpartum is a huge, and they screen women for depression during their pregnancy. And the reason being is pregnancy, yes, it's wonderful, it's a happy time. Not for everybody. Not for everybody. Everybody's different. Hormones are different. Socioeconomic statuses are different. GD increases during pregnancy. So I know this sounds crazy, but we always ask, do you have running water in your home? Do you have electricity? Do you have flushable toilets? Do you feel like that you're in any situation that could cause you harm or your other children harm? All those things. And we did it not with daddy in the room. We did it one on one by herself. Everybody else had to be in the lobby. So that way she was open to say whatever her concerns were. So I think there's been a huge improvement, but it does need to continue on. It is in no means perfect, but it's a lot better than 1965, 1970, 1973. So that's all I'm saying. And I only look at Lindsay's case. Um, I I have my own family history. I have my own history as a nurse, what I've seen, and then I look at Lindsay. So that's the only thing that I'm looking at right now. But as a broad spectrum, it has gotten better, and that's where legislation's going to have to come in and say, and thank God they do screenings now. That's a wonderful thing. So that's where the change needs to happen. When doctors, are required by law to do X, Y, and Z, or you don't get paid by the insurance, they're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Amen.
So
Amen,
that
Rowena.
that
You know what?
that's going to be, and I think you would be a great voice. I think that you would be a great advocate for women, and I really hope that you can take your passion to start at your local level. Start with your doctor and educate your doctor. Until people say anything, nothing's going to change. Your mother, I am so sorry, but your
Thank you.
mother is someone that, I don't want to cry. Your mom is someone that helped pave the road for the women of today. And I'm not saying that Lindsay was mentally okay. I'm not saying that at
Yeah,
all.
I know.
But it
I just,
just the
and I'm not saying
the
that anybody here,
no,
said that, but I read
because
those
I'm going to say some
comments.
things later that might upset you, but it's just my opinion, just my opinion. Um,
And it's not when people are talking about Lindsay and what was said in court yesterday, it's going to trigger you because you're
mhm,
thinking about your mama. We're not talking about your mama. We're talking about what the state of Massachusetts is saying is really going on with Lindsay.
with Lindsay,
Well, they're
just that
saying
one
there's,
case.
yeah, they're seeing this woman who's, she's killed her 3 kids, and so they're seeing these 3 beautiful kids, and they're going to be mean, like, well, why did she just kill herself and not her 3 beautiful kids? And they don't understand. What was going on through her mind? Okay, you
But
know,
we don't understand what was going on through her
no,
mind.
we don't,
Only
and
Lindsay does.
only Lindsay does, and now she's woken up and she's paraplegic, and her mind is probably still not okay. And when
I'm
she
sure.
does realize what she's done, which will probably be a year or two from now, she will really want to kill herself.
No,
I mean,
she's going to be, they already said yesterday, we're going to look at the video here in a second. And I've got some more people I've got to bring up. And because this is a really heavy topic and everybody is really fired up about this for different reasons, a lot of different reasons. She's going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life, it looks like. And
oh yes,
when she comes out of all this, that's when she's going to have to grasp what really went down that day. And then she's also going to have to face the music with the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, that says They don't think she wasn't postpartum. So they're going to have to prove that she truly did have a medication issue or that she was misdiagnosed. It's going to be messy. It's just going to be so messy.
They're
It's
also going to take blood work. They're going to know what was in her system. So, that's going to be another piece of evidence that will come out in the trial.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
all
say, I can't believe a woman jumps from the roof and they don't think she's not mentally ill. I don't know what's.
That's not the argument. The argument is she criminally responsible. The jails are full of people that committed crimes not in their right mind, men and women. The question is, are they criminally responsible? Do they spend the rest of their life in a jail, or do they spend the rest of their life in a secure mental hospital?
And then you've got to look at, how many people are going to blame Mr. Clancy and say, well, didn't he see this coming? Didn't he know his wife was, nutty as a fruitcake? And he's going to get a lot of blame on this too.
I think he's doing okay. He's got over $1 million in his GoFundMe. I think the focus also needs to not forget about these 3 little babies. These 3 little babies had to look their mama in the face when she put an exercise band around their neck, and she sent him off on a fool's errand so she can do it.
For 5 minutes.
A piece.
That's a long time.
Yeah, we can't. If he could do that day over again, I guarantee he would.
There must have been something that he saw.
But we don't know that.
I don't know that. I know.
That's where you have to be in the courtroom and you have to listen to facts. And everybody has feelings and everybody has an opinion, and it's okay. It is okay. And I just worry about you is what I'm worried about right now, because this triggers me.
You know what they gave my mom? No, you know what they gave my mom back in the 70s? They gave her Valium, and she took it like Pez.
Right. I mean,
that's what they did back in the 70s.
Drink. They told my mom to smoke and drink. But we have to look at today. It's 2023, and we have to look at facts.
Well, my real mother didn't drink. And I want to tell you something, if you don't mind me. I know I'm taking up a lot of time, but suicide affects you for the rest of your life. A death in the family like that, you never get over it.
No. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Right.
And I can just say this because I know this is hitting you on a different level that it would hit anybody else. There are, even having a channel, even having, there are cases that I will not talk about. I will not talk about because of how it affects me. And I think this might be a case for you that you probably, it might not be healthy for you to follow this case.
Mm-mm. You have to keep yourself healthy so you can help others. Okay.
Well, I run a Facebook group about fighting child abuse, and I've posted a few stories, but other than posting a few stories, I've had there's more reasons than that this story has been hard to follow. More reasons than I can give here.
And that's what worries me. That's what worries me. And I really hope.
This chat's really, really supportive. They're sending you lots of love. And,
I wish I could hug you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
want you to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing I just want everybody to know is that how real it is and how I truly believe this woman was mentally ill. And I don't think she meant to kill those kids.
Oh,
she did not
was
mean to hurt
mentally ill.
those kids.
She definitely was mentally ill.
And the evidence.
She wanted to die too with her kids. And some women do that. That's rare. That's postpartum psychosis. That's a hardcore mental illness right there.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to look at the facts and get through it. But please promise me that you'll take it in small doses. Okay? All right?
And my brother, he's had 2 friends commit suicide.
Yeah. It hits a lot of A lot of buttons, honey.
You know, that's just, so on top of our mother, he's had 2 friends die that way. And, you know, he's had to hold that in.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry, hun.
Please, please take care of you for him. Can you do that?
This is the first platform I've ever gone on and told this to.
Well, you came to the safest one, I can tell you.
Okay.
Brooks, that's Crime Lines and Lies. I'm Rowena, and you've come to the safest place. And just, I want you to reach, if this case is too much, please promise me. There's certain cases Brooks doesn't do. There's certain cases I haven't listened to, just can't. So, I want you to be healthy, because you know what? I think you have a job to do. Okay? I really do. You have a strong message, and you're passionate.
I
You need to
do.
keep yourself healthy. You do. Most definitely. You have a story like I can't relate to, but I can say, keep yourself healthy so you can be a change. So there
You know,
was
I would
somebody.
say to any woman out there who's suffering postpartum and is having awful thoughts, you know, please post the suicide hotline. I don't know it right off, but please post it.
It was posted at the beginning of the show, and it's being posted regularly in chat, hun.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, please call the suicide hotline.
mm-hmm,
If nothing else, just call 911.
mm-hmm.
You know, and call for help. You know, call your pastor, call somebody. You know, if you've got a church, you know, call your pastor, say, I need help.
And that's what I want you to do. Okay? You're telling everybody else. I want you. No, I'm not saying you're
Well,
suicidal, but I'm not saying
actually,
that at
no.
all. But
Honey,
if
would you believe? No, I have been seeing a counselor through
good,
hospice over this, believe it or
good,
not.
good. That's good. That's great. I think everybody, when they're born, I think you should be assigned a pediatrician and a therapist. I mean, I just do.
Okay, for those of you who don't know in the chat room, hospice is bereavement counseling.
Hmm.
And
You've got a
what
lot
happened
going on.
Yeah, you do.
is,
I want you to take care of you.
yeah, a
That's the
couple of
most
years
important
ago.
thing.
Don't worry about this chat. We're
Yeah.
don't-
Well, I just want to explain to them what,
They know
bereavement
what
counseling
hospice
is.
is. Yeah, they
Okay.
know.
Some
We're
do.
so
No, I know what hospice is. My mother was in it when she died of renal cell carcinoma.
Well, some don't know that they actually offer free counseling that if you've lost a loved one, or if you're losing a loved one. So if you've got pre-anticipatory grief,
Mhm.
I've actually went there when my grandmother was dying, and I knew she was going to die, and they helped me deal with her upcoming death. So
I want to see
a lot
you
of-
step. I want to see a healthy woman standing on Capitol Hill screaming for change. That's what I want to see. And you're gonna have to get healthy. You're gonna have, and if it means not watching this case, please don't watch it. Please, please.
well,
You
in my
know you've
site,
lived it. Just you survived.
in my site, which I've, by the way, Brooks, I've posted a lot of your videos in my Facebook page about fighting child abuse, as long as it's about children. You know, I've posted things about postpartum depression, and because it's my belief, we help the parents, we help the children. And, I just posted a video this week about postpartum depression and psychosis. So, but yeah, this one has been just so touching.
Yeah. And
for
see,
me.
this one might be the one that you need to step away from, honey.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm not. I can't. I can't imagine. If I was in your situation, being able to mentally stay healthy. And if you have someone on hospice, you need to be as healthy mentally, physically, spiritually that you can be for that person and for your other family members. So this might be one, and you know, it just just small doses, and just know that you're in my prayers, and I mean
Thank
that.
you so much. And
So
thank
you
you
just,
all for understanding. And
I do, and but just understand that we only are looking at this person and these facts of what was laid out by the state and the defense. That's
Just
all we're looking at. Okay. All right.
I
My heart
know.
breaks. I'm so sorry. But please, I'm not, I'm not a mental health nurse, and I'm not a doctor, but I really hope that you listen. Please just turn this one off. Brooks understands you could come back, but
okay.
continue to be a healthy advocate, and but please don't. This is too much, and you've got a lot of people depending on you. It sounds like, and we
Well,
need to keep you healthy because
well,
it's called mental health.
thank you for, talking about this story at least, and not,
Yeah,
browbeating this woman and this poor
no,
man. So
no.
Not at all. Honey, we'll see you on the next show, okay? Thank you for
Okay.
coming up and telling your story, okay? And
thank you for having
just
me.
and we're talking about Lindsay's case. I mean, that's what we're focused on. So we are very, very well aware that postpartum is definitely real.
Yeah.
Let's all give a big hug to Miss June and let's go through the video for a minute, and then we're going to bring up another caller. Hang on. I got to go back just a little bit.
She even stayed alone with the children on several occasions without any issues in January of 2023. Her husband asked her in mid-January, "Are you still having suicidal thoughts?" And she said no. The defendant's parents visited the family the weekend of January 21st, 2023. They interacted with the defendant in person. The defendant was able to run errands while her mom watched the children. She texted back and forth with her mother, and there was nothing out of the ordinary about these text messages. In fact, the defendant texted her mother on January 22nd, 2023 to ask how her ride home went. During this conversation, the defendant's mother wrote, quote, "Enjoyed seeing everyone this weekend. Nice to see you doing better," end quote. On the night of the killings, Patrick Clancy was interviewed by the police at Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth Hospital. He told the police that the defendant was having one of her best days. She was smiling and happy, and there was no indication that she was going to harm the kids. No one at all described her as acting like a zombie in the days leading up to the murder or on the day of the murders themselves. On February 5th, 2023, this past Sunday at 1:35 p.m., while sitting with Dr. Paul Zeisel, the psychologist hired by defense counsel to evaluate her mental state, the defendant used Dr. Zeisel's cell phone to call her husband. She left a voicemail stating that she loved him. Yesterday, on February 6, 2023, at 10:09 a.m., she again used Dr. Zeisel's cell phone to call her husband. This time he answered, and during this call, the defendant stated that after he left the house that night, she killed the kids because she heard a voice and had, quote, "a moment of psychosis," end quote. He asked her what voices she heard, and she said she heard a man's voice telling her to kill the kids and kill herself because it was her last chance. Patrick Clancy told the police the defendant had never heard voices before. He also told the police the defendant had never used the word psychosis to him before. The first time she used that word psychosis was when she was with the doctor hired by defense counsel and using his cell phone. The defendant actually wrote a note on her phone on October 25th, approximately 3 months before this happened, October 25th, 2022. She wrote, quote, "I think I sort of resent my other children because they prevent me from treating Cal like my first baby. And I know that's not fair to them. I know that. I was feeling so depressed last evening when Cora and Dawson came home from school. I know it runs off on them, so we had a pretty rough evening. I want to feel love and connection with all of my kids." She then wrote that she wants to have more kids eventually. The children were killed by ligature strangulation. Ligature strangulation causes the victim to become unconscious anywhere from 10 seconds up to a minute. The more the victim struggles, the longer it takes. After the victim is unconscious, the ligature must be held in place with force, squeezing the neck for up to an additional 4 to 5 minutes to cause death. Therefore, she had to strangle each of them to unconsciousness and then make sure the bands were squeezing their little necks for several minutes. She could have changed her mind at any point during that time and removed those bands from their necks, and she did not. The defendant did not take advantage of the situation when her husband left the home that night. She created the situation, and she used Apple Maps to make sure she would have enough time to strangle each child before her husband returned from where she had sent him. The defendant is a danger to herself and others. She planned these murders, gave herself the time and privacy needed to commit the murders, and then she strangled each child in the place where they should have felt the safest, at home with their mom. She did so with deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty.
And that's where it's at. So that's only a portion of what they have. When they first do a probable cause, when they first present everything to the judge, it's their weakest evidence. Imagine what else they have to say that she pre-planned this. This isn't everything. If this was all they had, they would just offer a plea.
Yeah.
That's what I came
There's
to.
more.
Let's see what BS has to say. Hi, BS.
Hello.
What are you thinking about all this? Now the state is saying, and they have ample evidence according to them, that she pre-planned all this and that she was in her right mind. What are you thinking?
I mean, it's kind of, she wasn't in her right mind, but she was at the same time. Like with me, and I don't need no sympathy or none of that, but like I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, general anxiety disorder, same as her, and OCD. So pretty much all my life I've dealt with suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So I can see that, she definitely had a lot wrong with her, but she planned it. Cause like with me, like I would never commit suicide, cause I'm the type of person, I think about others. Somebody's got to find me. And that's like traumatizing and horrific forever finds you. And then I'm also type of person, I'm scared to death. If anything can go wrong, it is going to go wrong. So I'm going to survive it regardless. I'm going to be like her, paraplegic or like on diet. It's just horrible. So like, that's what gets me through it, but I can see where one day she just checked out. She just decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to kill myself. It's going to be over with.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's got her kids. That's her babies. And if she loved them, she's going to want to make sure, well, it can go one or two ways. She either wants to make sure that they're going to be okay and taken care of. So she just figured, if I take them out too, then it'll be all good. We'll all be together.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that's what I'm wondering. She sends her husband away. Like you said, they're all going to be together, because I don't think they have to prove motive in Massachusetts, but what could the reason be? And like when you just said that, they're all going to go together. Zen 1111, you're exactly right. Everyone is different.
Well, yeah, everyone's different, but I can see the mindset. Like I said, she'd either want them all to go together, or she couldn't, in her last days, couldn't bear the shame of having her kids grow up knowing she did what she did, and then she took them out because of that.
Oh,
That's what's
interesting thought.
gonna be different. Yeah, we just don't know. It's like,
I mean,
really
it could
wanna
come
know
from a
what's in her
caring
brain.
place, or it could come from a selfish place. But either way, when she went from saying she wants to kill herself and all that to she's better overnight, there's a lot of studies that are shown that people who get ready to do that kind of become happier and, you know, become more responsive and all that because they've got something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's like, was she happy that day because she knew that everything was falling into place, which falls into it's like, I feel like yes, she definitely mentally unstable because my God, look what she tried to do to herself. I mean, that alone, wow.
But
And
doctors
then
don't
was it
tell you that.
premeditated? But was it premeditated because all this was she happy because everything was falling into place? And I think that's we just got a little snippet of what's going
I
on.
think it was because they kept saying over and over it was her best day ever, her best day ever. You know, that she was just doing so wonderfully. It just, to me, it sounds like she knew that was the day. Like she had her heart set on it. She knew it was time. She done checked out. You know, like they said, she planned everything out as far as like where he had to go and all that.
And that's where the psychotic doesn't come in. When you're
I don't think she was psychotic by no means.
Okay.
She was definitely mentally ill, 100%.
Right. She was mentally ill, but she wasn't psychotic. And that's going to be the defense. I can tell you that already. Yeah. She's already said it to her husband on the defense attorney's phone. That's going to be the whole thing. That she heard a man's voice, and whenever let's say that, okay, usually people that are psychotic, when they come out of it, they're like, oh my God, they're terrorized, like, oh my God, if they are able to remember. So hearing a man's voice hearing a man's voice telling me to kill the kids and kill myself, that's not a I don't know. I don't know. I would think, demons, things like monsters, the devil. One lady, I watched this show and she talked about, she thought Jesus was coming down and she would be separated from her children and all this. So it's psychosis is you are not in a formed state. You can't think logically. It's not a logical state, and that's why
one girl in my hometown got methed out and then ended up going into like a psychosis on top of it, and she literally ripped her eyes out walking down the side of the road. Like,
God dang.
But
so that's that, and she did it because God told her to. So that to me sounds like, but that sounds like psychosis, not
you can have
strangling your kids.
Right. You can have psychosis.
And like, that's another thing. That's another thing though that bothers me. It makes me think maybe she did it for selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. Because like, if you're going to do it for loving reasons, or, because you just wanted to keep them safe, you would not strangle your kids. I don't care who you are. You would do anything possible to make sure they went out in a least gruesome way possible. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a quick way.
Yeah. So for it to take minutes, like, there's no way any mother who truly loved her kids would have done that. Like, I don't think, and there's 3 of them. I mean, maybe 1. You do it to 1, that's horrible, but like 3, that's a lot of time and effort.
And they weren't put together. They weren't put together. That was a big thing for me. The children were not together. The baby was in his den, or his study, his office. So yes, they were all in the basement, but they weren't together. And that's a huge part of psychosis with women that kill their children. So it's just a lot. It's just a heavy lot.
But I feel like, the doctors, they should tell the patients and like their spouses or loved ones about that warning sign.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on mental
You
illness.
know, like in his mind, the husband, he's like, oh, this is awesome. You know, she's getting better. We're having good days. You know, my husband, he has to deal with my ups and downs, you know, and it's rough on him. It really is rough on the spouse. So when those good days happen, they're just like, this is awesome. You know, but for somebody to be that low and jump up that high that quick, you know, within a couple weeks time, I mean, that was like a clear that there was something wrong.
But
And that maybe somebody should have been keeping a better eye on her, because just because she seems like she's happy and things are better, that don't mean things are better. That just means,
well, and I
you
can
know,
say I've watched this 5 times, and I watched her. Okay, I watched her, and the only time that she cries through this is when they talk about the state. When the state talks about it being premeditated, she wipes her right eye. I never knew you could just cry out of one eye because nothing was happening with the left, and she shook her head no. So, yeah, I think she's mentally ill, and I think she premeditated it. Both.
I think asking for an attorney right from the get,
Yeah,
I think that was a big punch in the gut to us all yesterday.
yeah. And remember, her baby was on life support when she woke up.
Oh, God, yes.
She did not say, did I kill my children? She didn't know. She didn't know. I'm sure they weren't moving, but the baby was alive. And so that, I'm sorry, I got a sore throat. That sounds like a frog. But that right there just slapped me in my face when I thought about it. So I do think, of course, I think 100% this woman is mentally ill. But just like Brooke said, there's tons of mentally ill people that have killed people that are in prison. And just because you're paralyzed don't mean you can't go to prison. I'm sorry.
We've had so many cases, on the channel, on the Facebook groups, we've discussed different times. I think about, I don't even want to put out any names because it's not going to be helpful, but different cases where someone has unalived themselves and their family members will say the same thing, that they had an over the top great day before. So you wouldn't say to yourself, this is just me anyway, someone's having a great day, but a couple of weeks ago they weren't. You're going to think, well, wow, they're getting better. Not, whoa, they must be planning something because
Right.
she's happier than a pig in shit. What's going on? Why is she doing so good today? I better keep an extra eye on her. If anything, he probably took a deep breath and was like, thank God we're finally out of that stuff.
Or we're walking out of it, or we're getting there. I even as a nurse, I don't think I'm sure that she showed signs over days, weeks. I mean, look at all the places she went.
Mm-hmm.
And a doctor said that she did not have postpartum depression. So I don't know if she was misdiagnosed. We'll find out more.
Well, her attorney, if they choose to keep this attorney, because I
wasn't impressed.
Well, I mean, he's a great attorney, don't get me wrong. But he's going to have to bring a slew of people that's going to say that she was misdiagnosed. Oh, what do you know? My chat's working. Bama Skin, thank you. Bama Skin said, was she sending a message where she put the baby? I am kind of thinking, just from going through this arraignment over and over, that this was kind of, in a way, aimed towards Patrick. She sends him away. And, well, I don't know. I don't want to go there yet. But, I mean, yeah, it seems like where she put the baby was sort of sending a message. She put the baby where his study is, where he works.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't she saying she wanted to spend more time with the baby instead of the other two?
Right.
Or was she talking about the oldest?
No, she wanted to spend more time with her baby and resented her other two children. So,
Well, in that case, then it might not be towards the husband. She just might wanted, that alone time
And was saying
away from the other two.
that she
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. We don't know what was in her mind, and we never will. Even when we get a trial, we ain't gonna know.
Well, that's
Um,
one thing, though. Also, didn't y'all say her house was like super clean? But then she was supposedly zombified for a couple of months. When you get to that zombified state, you are not a good housekeeper. So what I'm thinking is, like you said, what she did leading up to it, she might have been preparing.
mhm.
Get the house in order, get everything taken care of, which would also show that she was planning it. Like, did she just go from zombified, not doing anything, to being OCD about everything, keeping it clean and all that?
That's what I want to know, because her attorney said last Friday that her and her husband had gone to the doctor, and the husband said she's like a zombie. And then, then a week later, she's taking Cora to the pediatrician. She's building snowmen. Hey, it's been a crazy day. Let's order out. And he goes to get food and go get Miralax, and he comes back to hell on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband said she wasn't taking 13 meds at a time. There needs to be an asterisk by that. That attorney should not have put that out there. That'd be enough to kill a horse.
Mm-hmm.
She was never on more than 3 meds at a time, which is still a lot. Don't get me wrong. That's still a lot. Now, a lot of people are saying that they are, I say a lot, but quite a few are saying that they're contacting GoFundMe to get their money back after yesterday. What do you think about that?
That's heartbreaking. I think that he,
if it's for the old man, I
me.
think he should keep it.
Me too.
If he comes out publicly and says, I'm going to keep this money, the state is going to take care of her medical care, and the attorney is just going to have to do this pro bono, because I was not aware that she was planning this all day. When I came out and said, forgive her and all of this stuff, I did not know that she set me up.
Yeah. And two, y'all
The
have to
only, oh, sorry, go ahead.
The house, I think about he can't live in that house. He's going to have to sell that house. Who's going to buy that house? I mean, all these things. His life is shattered. Not just, it's shattered in every way. He lost his whole family. And I'm sure he's getting heat. I was called a C word. I would have much rather been called a T word, but I was called a C word, but that's okay. But I'm sure I can't imagine how much hate he's going to get. Why did you leave? It's your fault. And I'm sure he's beating his own self up. My God, I can't imagine. He's going to have years and years and years and years of therapy. We can't, like I said, it's like a movie, but we can't, I can't imagine what. Now we know the 911 call, why it was redacted so much. So I really hope people don't, I do hope he makes a statement. Now, I don't want to pay for his attorney, but I help pay for his therapy all day. So I hope that people wait and just see. Her attorney, sorry.
See if her husband, see if Patrick shows up to support her as this goes on. From what my understanding is, he was not there yesterday. They said her parents were there, and that was it. Think about Patrick's parents too.
Yeah.
They loved her like a daughter. Yeah. They have, all at once, they're like, whoa. She tells my son to go pick up her Mediterranean bowl and some Miralax. And he comes back to his life is destroyed because up until yesterday, they were very vocal about supporting her.
Hmm.
I'm really, really watching this to see how many more comments we have from her in-laws.
Hmm. And another thing is, the defense attorney, he brought up, that he had received 50 uh, mail or emails or whatever, in support of Lindsay, and it was for, fellow nurses and coworkers. Okay, did they want did they want to write a new email after yesterday? Because I'd want to write a new email after I heard what I heard yesterday. And I'm not saying that I don't feel bad for her. I do. She's mentally ill, but I believe that she's mentally ill, and she also premeditated this. And there's a lot of people in prison that's the exact same thing that they did. That's just my opinion.
Well,
I
this
don't know.
might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't feel sorry for her.
It's
Just
not
because,
an opinion. After yesterday, it lit up. People were like, forget her. I've been sitting here feeling sorry for her, comparing her to Andrea Yates, and now they're like, forget it. No.
well,
I
yeah, I
felt
mean,
like
the
a
journal
fool.
entries talking about she don't like her other two kids and she just wants to spend time with the baby. And, typically in postpartum, a lot of women resent the baby, not the other two or how many ever they've got. It's the
Mhm.
baby that drives them up the wall. And then it's typically the baby that something bad happens to. But for her to remove the baby, and like I said, it could have been towards the husband, or she could have just wanted alone time with the baby. But I don't know. It all seems like she was mentally ill, but she was fully aware.
Mhm.
And she made the choice to do what she did.
Mhm.
That's
She
what it
called him back at the pharmacy. She called him back.
well,
Yeah,
Uh,
she was
there's no psychosis or none of
uh,
that. It was
uh,
just she made up her mind one day, and then she figured she was going to take the kids with her for whatever reason. I really do feel like it was selfish. After that journal entry
mhm.
saying that she resented the other two kids, that really makes me feel like she just did it out of shame and, just wanted to get rid of them, but didn't want them to have to deal with it. I mean, and that's horrible.
Yep.
So
And
honestly, I mean, I feel like she should go to prison. I guess it's good that she's a paraplegic because she's going to have a much harder time trying to do do that again. But she 100% wants to do that again. Like,
she wants
but in
more
my mind,
children.
that's the ultimate karma to me. Like,
Yeah. She'll be reminded every day when she can't move her legs.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I guess I feel sorry. Yeah. I'm with you. I would. Yeah. We wouldn't be having a trial if I could get a hold of her.
and when
And
this
yeah.
I'm
It
just
was just
mad.
it was a
I'm
choice.
mad.
She made a choice.
Yeah. And I hope that this does not sway other people. That's what my fear is, that people are going to be like, well, there's no such thing as postpartum depression and psychosis, or that everybody has psychosis with postpartum depression. You know, so
now
that
that right there is what's dangerous.
yeah.
When Leilani killed Quentin and put him in the dumpster, and people started saying, well, she just had a baby in June. I lost my shit. I lost
Mm-hmm.
it. I did one whole show saying, oh, here we go. Here we go. Because I can't stand it when
Mm-hmm.
these ratchet women do the unthinkable and then they're like, well, I'll just claim postpartum depression. This mental illness and everything has become so watered down. It can't be specific because every case is different. Like I said,
Right.
the jails are full of people that had bad childhoods. The jails are full of abused women. The jails are full of people with mental illness. So is it when is it a person is not criminally responsible for their actions? I would say if she went through a postpartum psychosis, this would be the case, but that doesn't seem to be the case now, does it?
Right. And I mean, the last show, I mean, I was like, defending to the top of the hill. And then last night, I was like, I felt like a fool. I was like, oh my gosh.
We didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know.
We would have been fools if we would have just come out of the gate and been like, oh,
Yeah.
well, whatever. They're saying that she has postpartum, but I don't believe anything anybody says, and not even have a discussion.
Right.
No,
But
we're going to look at everything.
I agree. I agree so much with you, BS. I really do. And that's a really good point of she said that in her journal about the kids, and then the kids being separated from the baby when she killed them. That's kind of telling. I didn't even think about that. That's a good pickup. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, I'd hate to say I sympathize with her, but like I can kind of see into like maybe what her thought process is based on my own mental illness, But like I said, it's all about choices.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she goes to the
my
Iran
kids
rehab.
are the reason why I don't do anything stupid, because I think about them, what's going to happen to them. They're going to have to deal with all of that, and I could never imagine anything bad happening to them. Emotional, physical, any of that.
Yeah.
So, but I can still see the thought process. I can see
and
like
that's
what
where the illness comes in.
I can see the help. I can see the hopelessness, where you just feel like like somebody said earlier, you're not a good mother. They'd be better off without you, stuff like that. And, it does get to you. It gets you down, there's been times where I've went like a week and a half without taking a shower. And my husband had to just be like, go do it, and a lot of people disagree with that, but I appreciate the push. A lot of people
definitely
like, oh, leave them alone, pet them. My husband's like 1, 2, 3, go get it, and that really does help with me. But like you said, everybody's different. Everybody does do things their own way. But I can see her thought process. But
I
just
can see
the
her
fact
thought
that
process with her, but not the kids.
Well, yeah, with her. But even then, like I said, it had to have been either malicious, took them out, or if she loved them. But I feel like if it was because she loved them and just wanted them to be with her, it would have been something way less gruesome than wrapping something around their neck for minutes. Like I couldn't imagine.
I hope that everybody, after this is over, look at your clock, sit there for 5 minutes. Don't have the television on. Don't have anybody else in the room with you. If you got to escape your kids and go in the bathroom, which you can't go in there and escape your kids, but sit there and don't say a word and think about how long 5 minutes is. This is the stuff that kept me up last night. I'm telling you, it just messed me up.
That's what I'm saying. Like 5 minutes is excruciating long.
Flip the hell out. It was like listening to a damn horror movie.
And they're gonna like, I haven't heard the 911 call, but I could just imagine, like, I mean, he handled it. He handled it better than some. I know some men who probably would have went out there and
my husband would have gone out there.
Her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just I wouldn't. He would have completed
it. Would. And I hope he
me too.
Would.
That's what I would want.
You take me out. If I hurt my child, if I kill, you take me out. And I'll be honest. I'm gonna tell you what. Mom and all of us have been sleep deprived. You can't take a shower till your husband gets home. To watch all this, you just can't. Your whole life is just focused on this baby, and it's just rocked your world. And my daughter, I wasn't a nurse then. I didn't have a clue. And she had a form of colic. You could set your clock by it for 3 months. From 5 to 8, she screamed. It didn't matter what we did. It did not matter. And I can remember one time I laid her down, and I laid her down a little hard. I mean, I didn't drop her. I didn't push her or anything, but I didn't, just, I knew that she had to get away from me. I knew
Yeah.
that. And I told my pediatrician, and she said, look, she's not going to die from crying. Go outside. Now, it was December. It was cold. I went outside. I'd go out there for 2-3 minutes, and that's all it took. And I had to just, so I'm not giving any excuses to her, but mamas, tell your doctors, I did. I told my pediatrician, I said, I'll lay her down kind of, I just kind of lay her down like, ooh, I got to get out of here, because that every day it's like, and it's god awful. We haven't heard anything about her babies having colic. Maybe he cried and he was constipated and all this, or maybe that was just an excuse. Who knows? We don't know. We're going to maybe find out.
Well,
But I agree with you.
I think they make that pretty standard straight out the gate, because with all three of my kids, they would tell the pregnant women and the appointments or whatever, look, if you need, you get heated, you get aggravated, you get angry, put them in their bassinet, put them in their playpen, put them in their crib with nothing in it, and just shut the door and walk away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take 5, 10, 15 minutes. They're like, as long as they're in that crib, playpen, whatever, they ain't going nowhere. If they're crying,
Right.
they're okay. They're alive. You can hear them.
Yeah. But 33 years ago,
tell
like I
you that,
said, everything's changed. And it's gotten better. But and this is why I think discussions I think it's so good. I really do. I think it's so good that people, I mean, I've never told anybody, but now I'm telling how many people, but
well,
it
that's the
did
thing,
scare
though.
me.
More parents need to speak up instead of
Mm-hmm.
acting like their kids, are little angels and stuff, and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, they aggravated me.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to, push them in their face, like go on somewhere. But you don't do it. But you should talk about that feeling of wanting to. That don't mean you don't
Exactly.
love them. You want to put
Right.
hands on grown people all the time, and children are like a million times more annoying than grown people.
No, that shit is so irritating. People say, "Oh, they're angels. They're gifts from God." I'm like, "Now hold on. Come on. You know that kids will work your every nerve. You
I
know,
mean, kids are a gift from God, but that don't mean,
absolutely.
that they don't have personalities. And then especially some of them personalities are your personality. So they kind of clash together. I mean, I love all three of my kids. My son, he might be a perfect angel, my oldest, but my youngest runs around like a little demon. I mean, and they're just all like night and day. And that's with all kids. They're all night and day from each other. You don't ever hardly get two of the same kind.
Oh, Katie, I was thinking this last night after I watched the arraignment for the third time. After what was presented during the arraignment yesterday, it's going to be hard for true victims of postpartum depression to come forward without looking like they're crying wolf. That's what I was so afraid of. Like I said, about the third time, it dawned on me and I said, here we go. If what the state is saying is true and she truly, truly planned this and was building up for this defense, we're back to square one. We're back to 1970, where people just said, oh, you just have the baby blues. Because this is such a highly publicized case. What a shit thing to do. What a shit thing to do.
Well, it also goes back on the state, though. Like, a lot of times I've heard so many stories where people have reached out for help and nothing was done. But then, they'll go do something just, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like with Quentin Simon, DSS was called on them several times and nothing was really ever done. The little boy stayed in the house. You know, they took custody away from the mother, but gave it to the grandmother. But I mean, he still remained in the house with his mother.
You know, it's disgusting. I can't stand that. That case pisses
But
me.
then, you know, there was this one case around me where a single father, reached out to, you know, Child Protective Services, was like, hey, I can't do this anymore. You need to come take these kids. I can't do it. I'm losing my mind. I can't. And they were like, oh, no, you'll be fine. We'll check on you or whatever. And then like a week or two later, he ends up killing 4 of his kids.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing
that makes no sense to me. Like, if they're actively telling you, hey, you know, she told her doctor she had thoughts about hurting herself or her children. Hurting herself is bad enough. They should have took her kids right then and there. And I hate to say it. I mean, because the father, it's not his fault. I mean, I don't think they should have took them from him, but they should have separated her, institutionalized her, or separated her from her family. Because if you're truly thinking about doing something like that, I mean, that's when stuff like this happens.
But she never, she only said that one time that she thought about suicide. He asked her again, you know, a couple of days before she did this. You know, I wonder, like, did she do something that made him ask that? You know, I don't know. Hopefully in time we'll find out. But
was it after she checked out, though, that he asked her? Because, I mean, if she's done made up her mind, okay, it was before she had checked out, because if she had already made up her mind, then she was going to lie to him regardless and make everything seem okay.
But how long, and how long had she, I believe it's premeditated, that's just my opinion. How long was she planning this? I don't know. You know,
I mean, the kids might.
Was it 3 days before? Was it 2 weeks before?
What I want to know is truly how long was she planning this? Because it's really hard to convince a jury that just this one day the decision was made. She was posting on social media, I mean, back in October, November, December. It's going to be kind of hard to convince people that she was really that methodical to plan it all this time and jump out the window. But then on the other hand, you're going to, I mean, you know, a jury's 12 people. It only takes one to convince. I don't know. Let's see what they said. This legal analyst, when they were talking about it yesterday. Hang on.
This afternoon for a little analysis here. Former Massachusetts Attorney General Martha Coakley is here now with Foley Hogue LLP, as is Greg Henning from Henning Strategies. Martha, let's start with you. What's your initial reaction to what we just listened to?
So a chilling recitation by the prosecution on details we hadn't heard about, the planning, etc. And I think, look, the big issue is going to be, what is the extent of the mental health here? We still have so little information about postpartum depression and how this works and medications that may work. And the defense, I think, appropriately addressed bail, but also addressed all these other issues. So the bail result makes sense. Not only is she paralyzed, she has no profile of anybody who's likely to flee. And I think the judge made the right call in that, with monitoring on her physical and her mental health and her emotional state. So she will be tended to as the defense counsel asked for.
Right. Then the bail means essentially nothing changes for her right now.
Correct.
She stays in the hospital with the potential that eventually she would go to some kind of rehab, 24/7 rehab facility, like they mentioned, Spalding Rehab.
That's correct. And probation will stay on top of it. Obviously, the judge is aware of the security issues, including her own mental health issues and suicide.
Now that Spalding Rehab, when they brought that up, that's when her attorney said, it looks like something out of Iran. We're not going to go to that. Or is that the one she's going to go to? Because I didn't hear exactly where she's going to go. Not that it would matter. I mean, I'm not from there. I was just curious if they got their way on that as well.
Suicide ideation.
Yeah, and that's what we heard a lot about, is that she's having suicidal thoughts even now. Greg, what did you make of this whole arraignment.
What you just saw was more like a closing argument at a trial than an arraignment. And I think the prosecution was pushing back on the notion that had been floated in the press by the defense last week, that this is almost a cut and dry case of mental health issues being at the heart of the motivation. And the government laid out really premeditation. They're not just suggesting that she didn't have a mental illness, but that she was planning this, that she was cognizant of her behavior, that she was attempting, I think they said she had created the scenario to attempting to get her husband out of the house so that she could do the act, which is a horrific thing to think about. But the way it was laid out by the government, it made me actually think about the number of times we heard in the Cohasset case a few months ago, people going through text messages, phone records, and the activities in the hours leading up to an act. It was much more similar to that than I think people were expecting today.
And I think it's important to also note, it was interesting hearing the prosecution kind of mentioning over and over that she was coherent at every turn, that she would, and the phone records when they talked to people that she talked with. Were you surprised that they were going to come out with all of this?
No, the reason it was necessary for the government to do that is they're pushing back on the issue that this wasn't something that was planned, that this wasn't methodical. What they're trying to suggest is very similar to a typical first-degree murder case, that this person had every opportunity to avoid the outcome and didn't. And each one of those methodical acts, ordering food, calling people, checking the distances, looking in your cell phone, writing notes, all of those are going to be used at trial to show that this woman was very much in her right mind, knew what she was doing, and intentionally planned the act. And that is a horrifying thing to think about.
And Martha, let's get your take on that, because a lot of that evidence is circumstantial.
Right.
But if she was timing out how long it takes to the restaurant to get takeout, was calling the CVS ahead of time, not in their town, in Kingston, down the road, she was obviously had a conversation, according to the prosecution, with her husband. He relayed that she sounded like she was in the middle of something. How damning is that for her defense?
Well, that's why initially hearing it, it is very chilling. And yet, because we're dealing with someone who was depressed, the evidence was that with postpartum depression, you have the medication issue. I think people don't really understand how depressed people work. You can still plan things. You can still do things. She may have already decided, I'm going to do this, and was able to function at that level. And we probably all know people who can function even with a medication issue or with depression. And you heard the defense counsel bring in this idea of psychosis, which we had not heard before, that there may have been voices, and that those are mental health issues that will have to be decided by expert witness and maybe ultimately by a jury.
Procedurally, I want to get your take. We heard a list of charges, only 2 murder charges, not a third. There was assault and battery, there was strangulation, but just charged here with murder of the 2 elder children, not the youngest, the baby, the 8-month-old that later died at the hospital. Why is that?
I think it may be just they didn't update it. In other words, the younger baby, although it sounds like he was essentially brain dead, unfortunately, this is just such a chilling story. And then he died at the hospital, but he was essentially dead. They just haven't updated that because they're talking about doing a probable cause hearing. My guess is they'll go directly to a grand jury, but that charge will be updated to first-degree murder.
Of course, Lindsay Clancy was going in virtually. We saw her there on the screen, her attorney talking about she can't emote right now, talking a lot about, of course, postpartum depression, and mentioning the list of medications that she apparently may have been on during the course of a year or so, or however long it's been. What did you make of what he had to say overall when it came to making sure people were aware of that?
He was speaking to an audience that wasn't just the judge, but the people that are watching. And there are a lot of people, as the Attorney General said, that have family members who have had to deal with depression and anxiety and mental health issues. He's speaking to a larger audience. And the bigger point here is Kevin Reddington, the defense attorney, knows that somebody ultimately has to hold a person accountable for this crime in order for people to feel that justice is done. And he's simply changing the direction of that anger. And he's suggesting that the medical professionals that were responsible for her care failed her. That's going to be the boogeyman at trial. That suggests, in my mind, that that is going to be part of the defense, that the medical professionals were the ones who failed.
Man, that's what we were talking about on the Sunday morning show. Social media is so powerful, so powerful. And when you see, and money talks and bullshit walks, we all know that. You can throw up the prayer emoji all day, but I'm telling you something right now. When you see $1 million GoFundMe in support of this family, the state of Massachusetts knows they're already outgunned. They're already outgunned. There's a lot of emotion behind that. When people, I mean, people are putting in thousands of dollars. It's up to over $1 million. So the state right there, I think that's the reason they came out swinging yesterday. They've got to sway public opinion back their way. Focus on the children. Focus on the children. On the other hand, like he said, he has to make somebody the bad guy, but it can't be her. So it's going to be those doctors. Those doctors over medicated her. Now it makes more sense after hearing this yesterday when they came out and said she was never diagnosed with postpartum depression. He's not going to get her doctors to say, well, maybe I was wrong and maybe I misdiagnosed her. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And it's going to be impossible to get a doctor to go up there and say, well, now, had I treated her, I would have said she had postpartum. Can't quite work that way either. What's going on?
I don't think it's going to be hard to find a doctor to say that, because just like you said, money talks and bullshit walks. And there's always somebody, there's always an expert witness that will come out of the woodwork and they will do it for the cash. I'm telling you. I was involved in a lawsuit. I sat through an 8-hour deposition, and I'm gonna tell you, those malpractice attorneys, honey, they make a shark look like a tadpole. And he thought I was gonna come back the next day. I said, no, I'll sit here till midnight, but I'm not coming back. Not
yeah,
doing
and
it.
I don't even mean that. Of course, you can find an expert for anything.
Yeah.
For anything. But can you get someone, you're not going to get these doctors to say, well, maybe I was wrong, maybe I did.
No, not her doctors. No, they're not going to say.
There's $1 million GoFundMe. That speaks volumes. And that $1 million isn't, people aren't pouring $1 million into a child abuse fund. They didn't pour $1 million into missing and exploited children in the name of the 3 children that were murdered. It's for support of this family. And so that, in conjunction of him making a very public statement that he wants compassion and he loves her, I wonder what he feels now that this evidence is coming out.
Oh, I didn't know all that. I didn't know he said he loved her and he feels compassion and all. No.
Oh yeah, he made a
GoFundMe needs to shut that down. Like, if he wants to come up with his own GoFundMe for himself, even then, no. If he's loving her and wants compassion, then no.
But this was before yesterday.
Yeah.
So when he heard this yesterday from the state, because the state didn't tell him, I mean, the state doesn't come back and tell you everything. You tell the state, and then they take it from there. But yeah, I'd like to know what his thoughts are now. And to me, I'm sorry, but when they said that he said to her, "What did you do?" Well, he didn't say, "Where are the babies, honey?" He said, "What did you do?"
And they could wind up trying to make him culpable in this. This attorney's out for blood on each side. I'm telling you, this is going to be very, very, very messy. I don't think she was over medicated. She wasn't doctor shopping. She wasn't going to a different urgent care all over Boston. She had her family doctor, her OB. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to come out. I just know it's going to be messy AF.
I don't honestly think that he's culpable in it.
No, God,
but
no.
He made some very bad decisions. Like, I mean, who don't check on the kids first in general? You know, like, if you know she's not gone anywhere, like, why would you not try to find the kids first?
But he went in and said it was silence. He calls her phone. He finds a locked door in their bedroom. Okay, what am I going to see behind the door? He sees blood and an open window. He runs to it, sees her on the ground. I'm sure I don't know. Maybe she was. I'm sure she was in pain. He runs down there. You know, what did you do? I tried to kill myself. Where are the kids? They're in the basement. I mean, you know,
But then he sits there and waits on the ambulance. How long did that take?
he
Said they waited until
know.
the paramedics got there, and then he went to the basement to find the kids. Like, why didn't he like book it then to find the
I
kids?
think it was very fast. I think it was very, very, I think he went to go, and I think they pulled up. Because when you listen to 911 call, they're calling, we need an ambulance. We need 2 ambulances. We need 3 ambulances. Now, a lot of it is redacted because now we know, we didn't know why. There's silence. That was him. That was him. And the silence occurs very quickly. So I think that he did immediately run to the basement. I think they pulled up. I think he screamed and was, of course, immediately trying to cut those bands off those babies' necks. I do.
I mean, I don't think that it probably crossed his mind for even a second. I don't think it could have even crossed his mind that she would hurt her own children, or he wouldn't have left
No.
for a second. And it
Mm-mm.
probably felt like an eternity before the ambulance got there.
I've done CPR on a little boy that drowned. And I'm going to tell you what, I can close my eyes today and feel what his mouth feels like. I can't imagine what he saw. His own babies.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, somebody
I
needs to
can't.
get him help, because to be honest,
And I hope if anybody did give the GoFundMe, just, please just wait. Just wait. Don't, I just want him to have all that money because he's going to need it. I mean,
well, maybe not all the money. I think like if people donated and they kind of feel jilted, I think they should be able to get their money back.
yeah, but just kind of wait and see. You know what I mean? Like if he comes out and says, hey, after yesterday, yeah, no, I ain't paying for that attorney. I ain't doing it. So
I mean, I don't, even if he does come out and say it, like I said, like I don't think my
it's everybody.
husband would have gave it 2 thoughts. He would have ended me right then and there.
Oh, I know my husband.
If he would have found out I hurt our kids, like just right then and there, it wouldn't have mattered where I was at, what I was doing. Like that would just been it. And then he'd have went to prison. I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, I feel like if you really feel jilted and you want your money back, I think you should be able to get it back.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, well,
regardless of what he comes out and says or does. Like, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who would still want to, keep their money in it because, they want to help him out. Because, I mean, like I said, he definitely needs a lot of help right now.
Oh, Mama B said the GoFundMe description has changed to be for the dad now. There you go. So just leave it be, because you give with your hand, not your heart.
Yeah.
So just, and if I was him, I would just tell that attorney, hey, look, I hired you because I was under the impression that she wasn't in her right mind. And hell, along with, my coworkers, my parents, my college roommate, everybody, I had to hear with the rest of the world yesterday that she planned this. She set me up.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, guys, I hate to leave good company, but I'm going to start shutting this down. I'm going to do a positive clip, because this has been really, really deep and dark, and get on with the day.
I'm going to stand.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Hey, BS, thanks for coming up.
Thank you,
no
BS.
problem.
I loved your thoughts on all of this, because it's a lot to take in.
Me too.
All right, appreciate y'all.
Hey, don't be shy. Grab the link anytime.
All right, thanks.
I'm gonna hop down too. My husband, he's hangry. So, but thank y'all, and do self-care, please. If it's too much, please don't. Please don't. And remember that one, I forget what it is now, 1-800-273, I think, talk or something. But just take care of yourselves. And I love all y'all. And I won't be ugly in Discord. I'll try to not be pissy. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You're the best, Rowena. big hand of applause for our friend Rowena. We had June up. We got to make sure June's okay. BS was awesome. Who was up at the beginning of the show? Sis. I normally don't have a show this long, but this is such a deep, hard to talk about thing. Just can't really rush it. So let's do a positivity clip. What do you guys think?
Into the weekend. This is a kind of a cute one. Michigan Police Department collared one of its own for a crime that is a felony in most offices. It's when a half-eaten lunch disappeared from the break room at Wyandotte Police Headquarters. Suspicion quickly turned to a repeat offender. That's ICE. The canine officer. He's been known to grab a sandwich or two right out of people's hands. ICE was busted. The department went on Facebook. They wanted to know how they should proceed with the case. Dog lovers that they threatened to protest. Lawyers offered to help ICE some free help. The case was dropped in to celebrate a really sweet local diner sent over a bunch of sandwiches and one just for ICE, a special one just for.
I like his mugshot. His ears make him like 3 inches taller.
That was a good one. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the.
Sorry, I saw that and it cracked me up. It just cracked me up. And the fact that they went and they took the dog and did a mugshot. I died laughing. I had to go and find it so I could watch it again. Because, well, my cat eats all my food. She does. It's the craziest thing. You know, cats are supposed to be finicky. This one will eat prime rib, ham, potatoes. I mean, you name it. It doesn't matter what it is. She eats like a damn dog. All right, guys, you have a great rest of your day. I know this subject is it is deep. We all have opinions on it. And as always, you guys are class and sass. And I absolutely love it because you can have an adult conversation without losing your damn minds. So you guys are the absolute best. I know there were some issues in the chat yesterday and some people got blocked. I unblocked everybody. But as always, you guys are amazing. You're great people. And I'm proud to know each and every one of you. So I'll see you back here tomorrow morning.